After Jiang Miaomiao was wrongfully imprisoned for 3 years on charges of hooliganism, Shen Qinzhou, who had since been promoted to factory director, remained steadfast and was willing to marry her. In return, Jiang Miaomiao toiled tirelessly for the Shen family for 30 years, yet, when she turned 50, Shen Qinzhou suddenly demanded a divorce to go care for Zhou Nyeyun, whose spouse had passed away. The couple emigrated to Country A, leaving only a letter for Jiang Miaomiao. Miaomiao. It was actually you who took the fall for Nyeyun back then. Forgive my selfishness for not testifying on your behalf. I know you have feelings for me, which is why I've spent the last 30 years making do with you to atone for my guilt. Now, please allow me to go and pursue true love. Jiang Miaomiao was just finishing changing the diaper for the elderly Mrs. Shen, who has dementia, when she read the letter, overwhelmed with emotion. She suffered a fatal heart attack. When she opened her eyes again, Jiang Miaomiao found herself back 5 days before she was wrongfully arrested and imprisoned. Happy birthday, go on, open it, this is our gift for you. Hearing that familiar voice beside her, Jiang Miaomiao still couldn't believe she had been reborn, returned to the very day of Zhou Nyeyun's birthday. Back then, with the strict crackdown on conduct, Shen Qinzhou bought a gift for Zhou Nyeyun and, as a cover, got one for her too. It's a pity that in her past life she couldn't see through it. Wow, isn't this the yellow floral dress I've always wanted? Zhou Nyeyun's voice, a mix of delighted surprise and shyness, snapped Jiang Miaomiao out of her thoughts. Jiang Miaomiao stared at the yellow dress in Zhou Nyeyun's hand, her pupils contracting sharply. In her past life, she had been secretly thrilled by the gift from Shen Qinzhou. She had washed it eagerly the very day she received it and wore it to the factory the next day, overjoyed. Apart from when it needed washing, Jiang Miaomiao would have worn that dress every single day of the week. Little did she know, what awaited her was a living nightmare of imprisonment. A group of people stormed into the factory that day and arrested Jiang Miaomiao on charges of hooliganism. They claimed someone had seen her the day before, cohabiting with a man out of wedlock and engaging in illicit sexual relations. The witness didn't see the woman's face clearly, but they were certain she was wearing this exact yellow dress. A dress this expensive cost nearly half a month's wages for an ordinary worker, so very few people could afford to buy it. Jiang Miaomiao was the only one who wore that dress every single day, parading around the factory. Who else could it have been? The night before, everyone in the compound had gone out to watch the community-organized open-air movie, and she just happened to be absent. Shen Qinzhou dragged her to Nanshan with Zhou Nyeyun to stargaze. That night, Zhou Nyeyun complained of a stomachache after a short while. Shen Qinzhou wanted to accompany him back, but Zhou Nyeyun insisted he go alone. She secretly felt a thrill, thinking Zhou Nyeyun was creating an opportunity for them. The only people who could testify for Jiang Miaomiao in court were Zhou Nyeyun and Shen Qinzhou. However, Shen Qinzhou was sent to another factory for training the very next day. As for Zhou Nyeyun, he was evasive and refused to appear in court. He wouldn't budge, not even when Zhang's father kowtowed at his doorstep until the ground was stained with blood. Consequently, the factory director, Zhang's father, was dismissed. Upon his return from training, Shen Qinzhou took his place as the new director. In the end, Jiang Miaomiao was sentenced to 3 years in prison. After her release, only Shen Qinzhou didn't look down on her and actually proposed. It wasn't until much later that she realized his motive was just guilt for having failed to help her in her time of need. How pathetic. Miaomiao, what are you spacing out for? Zhou Nyeyun nudged the dazed Jiang Miaomiao with his shoulder, looking at her with a smug expression. Come take a look at the gift brother Qinzhou got us. You should thank me, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten such a nice dress. This must have cost $5 or $6. Indeed. This single dress cost the equivalent of Jiang Miaomiao's half-month's salary. If it weren't meant for Zhou Nyeyun, she would never have received a gift from Shen Qinzhou. In her past life, she had been so grateful to Zhou Nyeyun, never imagining she would become the very tool they used to cement her guilt. Jiang Miaomiao sneered, such a fine dress is too much for me. Shen Qinzhou, you can take it back. Hearing Jiang Miaomiao's words, Shen Qinzhou's face first registered shock, then swiftly twisted into disgust. Alright, Miaomiao, what are you upset about now? It's Nyeyun's birthday, and I bought you a gift too because I was worried you'd feel left out, and you're still not happy. Shen Qinzhou had known for a long time that Jiang Miaomiao liked him. She followed him around like a lovesick puppy, with a strange sense of possessiveness. If it weren't for the chance to take over from her father, the old factory director, he couldn't be bothered with her. This dress isn't even my size, take it back and return it. Shen Qinzhou's face fell. He couldn't understand why Jiang Miaomiao was being so difficult today, and he stared at her with a dark, sullen expression. Miaomiao, what will people think of us if you act like this? Do you want them to say we're having an improper relationship? The moment Zhou Nyeyun heard the words improper relationship, a wave of fear washed over him. The political climate had been so tense lately. Then I don't want it either. Hearing that Zhou Nyeyun wouldn't accept his gift, Shen Qinzhou grabbed Jiang Miao's arm, the one holding the gift box, and squeezed it hard. You'll accept it, won't you? Miao Miao, be good, you always listen to me, don't you? You're hurting me. Jiang Miao didn't miss the flash of malice in Shen Qinzhou's eyes. Alright, I'll take this dress. Jiang Miao shook off Shen Qinzhou's hand. Exactly, Miao Miao. You should keep it. We can even wear matching outfits. Zhou Nyeyun stepped in to smooth things over. My dad's calling me home for dinner, I've got to run. In her past life, Mr. Jiang had always hoped his daughter would follow in his footsteps, master his core technical skills, so that after he and his wife were gone, Jiang Miao could live out her life happily, smoothly, and in comfort. Yet, Jiang Miao was completely devoted to Shen Qinzhou. Not only did she persuade her father to pass his core technology to Shen, but she also recommended him as the successor to the factory director of the machinery plant. After Jiang Miao was arrested, her father's hair turned white overnight. He exhausted himself, pleading and running around everywhere on her behalf, before she could even be released from prison. He passed away from illness brought on by overwork. By the time Jiang Miao ran home, her father and mother were already having dinner. Mom, Dad, Jiang Miao immediately threw her arms around her parents. Oh, sweetheart, you're too old to be acting so clingy, Mr. Jiang had always doted on Miao, treating her like a precious treasure. However, for the past 2 years, he had strongly opposed her association with Shen Qinzhou, causing their relationship to deteriorate. This child. Didn't you say you were celebrating your birthday with that Shen boy and Mia Yun today? I didn't cook much since I thought you wouldn't be home for dinner. Jiang Miao's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at her loving parents, and she couldn't stop crying. Who upset you? Was it that Shen Qinzhou? I always knew he was no good. I'll make him pay for this. Before Mr. Jiang could even process his daughter's sudden affection, he was already ready to defend her. No, Dad, it's not that. I don't have feelings for him anymore. I'm just so happy. I was wrong before. I shouldn't have argued with you. I promise I'll study hard and learn my trade properly from now on. Oh, absolutely, let me tell you, the son of your father's classmate is much better, a real gentleman and an army officer, too. I'll introduce you to next time. Oh, Mom and Dad, I just want to be your little snuggle bug for now. The Jiang parents exchanged a knowing smile and served their daughter another bowl of rice. The next day, Jiang Miao went to the factory with her father first thing in the morning to learn the trade. She had already taken care of that dress. This time, she was determined to avoid the tragedy of her past life. The factory's Outstanding Worker Awards are about to begin. Only by winning the title of Outstanding Female Worker can Jiang Miao be promoted to a higher technical grade more quickly and be in line to succeed the factory director. It all comes down to proving her worth. Miao. The key to this technology lies in this small component. Go to Workshop C during your lunch break and fetch a batch. I'll explain it to you then. During the lunch break, while everyone was eating, Jiang Miao went to Workshop C to get the components. Before she could even open the workshop door, she heard the suggestive gasps of a woman and the flirtatious voice of a man coming from inside. I've missed you so much. Come here, let me have you. Oh, not here, don't kiss me. Jiang Miao's eyes widened in shock, for the woman inside was none other than Zhou Nyeyun, and with her was Lin Tao, the factory's notorious good-for-nothing. Lin Tao never did any real work. His favorite pastime was harassing the female workers. If his father weren't a high-ranking district official, he would have been fired long ago. Jiang Miao never imagined that Zhou Nyeyun would get involved with someone like him. So when can we? You're not just playing hard to get, are you? Oh, no, I miss you too, but they're cracking down hard lately. In a couple of days, the factory's organizing a movie night. We can sneak off to South Hill in the evening. Hee, you've got some nerve. If we get caught, we could be thrown in jail. I already thought of that. I'll invite Shen Qinzhou and Jiang Miao. We'll find a chance to slip away later. Even if they check, it won't lead back to us. You're the clever one. That simp Shen Qinzhou must be over the moon. And Jiang Miao, don't even get me started. The simp. Haha, perfect timing. He just bought me a new dress. I'll have to try it on later. Hee. Jiang Miao clenched her fists as she listened. She had braced herself. But she never imagined the truth would be this ugly. Shen Qinzhou was just a pawn too. Forming a plan in her mind, she slipped out of the workshop without a sound. A short while later, Zhou Nyeyun returned to his workstation, his face flushed. Miao, I'm not feeling well. could you handle my tasks for this afternoon? In their past life, Zhou Nyeyun often dumped her own work on Jiang Miao Miao, only to take all the credit and leave Miao Miao completely out of the picture whenever praise came her way. In that past life, Jiang Miao Miao had believed it was all in the name of sisterly affection and never made a fuss. Now, she just wanted to slap some sense into her past self. Handle your own responsibilities. I can't even finish my own workload. Zhou Nyeyun looked suspicious. Miao Miao had always agreed before. This sudden shift in attitude, had she found something out? Miao Miao, has someone been talking to you? Zhou Nyeyun probed tentatively. No, it's really just that I can't finish my work. Jiang Miao Miao replied dismissively. Oh, come on, dear Miao Miao, just do it for me. If you can't finish, just work overtime. It's not like you have anything else to do anyway. I'll put in a good word for you with Brother Qinzhou later. In her past life, Zhou Nyeyun had used this line countless times to get Jiang Miao Miao to do things for her, and it never failed. No need. Jiang Miao Miao snapped, her voice still laced with anger. Did you two have a fight? Don't be mad. Come on, I know Brother Qinzhou better than anyone. He adores you. Just do this for me. Please, I want to go back and rest this afternoon. Annoyed to the point of a headache by Zhou Nyeyun, Jiang Miao Miao shoved away the pile of components he had pushed toward her. I said no, and I mean no. It's not like you've ever helped me with my work. Stop bothering me. Ah, Zhou Nyeyun cried out in pain. A part that had been flung her way had grazed her cheek, leaving a small cut. The surrounding workers all turned to look upon hearing the cry of pain. I'm sorry, Miao Miao, it's my fault. You're my good friend. I shouldn't have refused to cover for you. I'll do this work for you. You can be mad at me, but you can't just throw things at my face. Zhou Nyeyun deliberately pinned all the blame on Jiang Miao Miao. She made a habit of it. So much so that the workers in the surrounding factory came to see Jiang Miao Miao as a domineering and uncouth person. Jiang Miao Miao tried to explain herself, but after so many times, no one believed her anymore. She had even asked Zhou Nyeyun why she said such things, but every time Zhou Nyeyun apologized, Jiang Miao Miao's heart would soften and she'd forgive her. Zhou Nyeyun was her only friend, and she didn't want to lose her. What are you pretending for? It's obvious that, Jiang Miao Miao. What are you up to now? Before Jiang Miao Miao could finish, Qinzhou, the workshop foreman, stepped in to back up Zhou Nyeyun. Seeing the bloody gash on Zhou Nyeyun's fair face, a murderous rage surged through Qinzhou's entire being. Jiang Miao Miao, don't think you can throw your weight around the factory just because you're the director's daughter. Do your own work. How could Director Jiang have such a lazy, domineering daughter? I treated you like a sister. I never imagined you could become so uncivilized. Apologized to Nyeyun. Qinzhou, for the sake of his beloved, no longer cared about currying favor with Jiang Miao Miao. He was like an enraged lion. Why should I apologize? I only got angry because she kept pestering me to do her work. Jiang Miao Miao, feeling wronged and indignant, felt her eyes welling up with tears. Fine, you refuse to apologize. Is that it? The entire workshop gets the day off today. Jiang Miao Miao, you will do everyone's work by yourself. I'll take full responsibility for any problems. The workshop workers were hesitant at first when they heard Qinzhou's declaration, worried that factory director Jiang would give them trouble, but once Qinzhou said he'd take responsibility, they left with their minds at ease. Everyone knew Qinzhou was factory director Jiang's intended son-in-law. Jiang Miao Miao stared coldly at Qinzhou. Are you done posturing? What authority do you even have? Qinzhou hadn't expected Jiang Miao Miao to react this way. In the past, she would only protest her innocence with a pitiful look and then quietly finish all the work. Brother Qinzhou, maybe let it go. It's my fault. Don't blame Miao Miao. I'll take care of all these tasks. Zhou Nyeyun looked at Qinzhou with a pleading, aggrieved expression. Qinzhou couldn't bear to see Zhou Nyeyun upset. Let her learn her lesson. If you don't finish this by tomorrow, or if you dare complain to Director Jiang, I won't hesitate to tell the higher-ups how he favors his daughter and abuses his power. With that, Qinzhou pulled Zhou Nyeyun away, leaving Jiang Miao Miao locked alone in the workshop. Jiang Miao Miao tried to run and pull the workshop door open, but she was a second too late and got locked inside. She waited until the factory shut down for the day, and even the workshop's power was cut. Jiang Miao Miao leaned alone in the corner by the workshop window. For 3 years in prison, she was locked up with rats and cockroaches every day, living, eating, and relieving herself all in one tiny cell. Whenever the cell block's top dog was in a bad mood, she would beat and kick Jiang Miao Miao. The only thing she could do was lean against the wall, gaze at the moon, and wait for the day of her release. Jiang Miao Miao waited for a long time, but her father never came for her. Little did she know, Qinzhou had already told Mr. Jiang that she was spending the night at Zhou Nyeyun's house and wouldn't be coming home. She was exhausted, freezing, hungry, and terrified. Someone, help me. I'm so scared. Mom, Dad, don't leave me here alone. Don't hit me. Please, don't hit me. Jiang Miao Miao slipped into unconsciousness in the corner. It was a worker who arrived the next day who discovered Jiang Miao Miao in the corner, taking pity on her. The worker told her to go home immediately and offered to call in sick for her. By the time Shen Shenzhou arrived in the morning, intending to offer Jiang Miao Miao a way out, she had already gone home. The panic and guilt Shen Shenzhou felt inside actually gave him a sense of relief, typical of her spoiled princess attitude, looking out for herself first. She hurts Nyeyun and still thinks she can shirk the responsibility. I told her last night to finish everyone's work. And she's done less than half. We're going to miss the delivery deadline for this batch at this rate. That Song Miao Miao has absolutely no respect for me. I'll go to her house myself and drag her back here. By the time Jiang Miao Miao got home, her parents had already left for work. Jiang Miao Miao felt her head swimming and her whole body burning up. She collapsed into bed, wrapped herself tightly in the covers, and fell into a dead sleep. Jiang Miao Miao, you get out here right now. Shen Shenzhou shouted at the door for ages, but no one answered. Since they all lived in the same courtyard, he already knew the Jiang family's spare key was hidden under a flower pot. He let himself into the Jiang's yard and barged straight towards Jiang Miao Miao's room. Jiang Miao Miao, how can you just lie there sleeping? Get up, get back to finishing yesterday's work, and don't even think about slacking off. Shen Shenzhou grew even angrier when he saw that Jiang Miao Miao was ignoring him. He immediately ran to the bathroom next door, filled a large basin with cold water, and poured it right onto the half of Jiang Miao Miao's face that was peeking out from under the blanket. A sudden, suffocating chill jolted Jiang Miao Miao back to reality. So you're finally awake. Did everything I told you yesterday just go in one ear and out the other? Get up right now and finish all the work from yesterday. Shen Shenzhou launched into a furious tirade at the drenched Jiang Miao Miao. Jiang Miao Miao's already weary body grew even heavier. Have you lost your mind? Jiang Miao Miao shrieked at the top of her lungs, her voice hoarse and raw. I've lost my mind. You were the one bullying your fellow workers yesterday. I'm giving you 10 minutes. I want to see you at your workstation. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to tell everyone how the factory director's daughter throws her weight around and bullies ordinary workers. Shen Shenzhou finished speaking and stormed out. Slamming the door behind him, Jiang Miao Miao dreaded nothing more than people accusing her father of abusing his power to favor her. If such rumors spread, it would be a serious disciplinary issue. Having lost loved ones in her past life, she had no desire to experience that pain again. When Jiang Miao Miao dragged her weary body to the factory, she discovered Zhou Nyeyun wasn't at her workstation. Zhou Nyeyun has it so good. Someone's sticking up for her. And now Director Shen is even taking her out for a fancy meal. Right, but isn't the factory director's daughter sweet on Director Shen? What's going on there? What else could it be? Unrequited love, that's what. Jiang Miao Miao's mind was a complete muddle. She worked on autopilot, her muscles moving from memory. She had no energy left to care about what anyone else was saying. All she wanted was to finish her tasks quickly and go home to rest. Just as Jiang Miao Miao was nearly finished, Shen Shenzhou returned from the restaurant with Zhou Nyeyun. Oh, Miao Miao, thanks for taking this on. Brother Qinzhou took me to the state-run restaurant to cheer me up, so I'm counting on you to cover my shift this morning. You've already managed all this work. What's one more task? Jiang Miao Miao was burning with anger and couldn't be bothered to argue with Zhou Nyeyun any longer. As soon as she finished her current task, she made a beeline for the factory exit. Stop right there. Are you deaf? Nyeyun is talking to you. Before Shen Shenzhou could even grab Jiang Miao Miao's wrist, with a heavy thud, Jiang Miao Miao collapsed unconscious at the workshop entrance. Shen Shenzhou was startled by the sudden fall, his mind thrown into a panic. Miao Miao, what's wrong? If Miao Miao doesn't want to help me, fine, but resorting to that old childhood trick of pretending to faint. How old is she, anyway? Zhou Nyeyun shot a disdainful look at Shen Shenzhou's back. Seeing Jiang Miao Miao's pale face on the ground, Shen Shenzhou remembered the basin of cold water he had thrown on her that morning. A wave of guilt washed over him, and his eyes filled with pity. It probably isn't that, but I should still take Miao Miao to the clinic to get checked out. Seeing the worried look on Shen Shenzhou's face, Zhou Nyeyun felt a surge of irritation. Even if it was something she didn't want, Jiang Miao Miao couldn't have it. Just as Shen Shenzhou was about to pick up Jiang Miao Miao and rush to the clinic, Zhou Nyeyun suddenly let out a pained cry. Ah, my face hurts so much. Nyeyun, what's wrong? Shen Shenzhou's heart ached terribly as he watched Zhou Nyeyun clutching her face in pain, and in that instant, he completely forgot about Jiang Miao Miao, who was still lying on the ground. Shinshunjo, no longer caring about appearances or propriety, scooped up Zhou Yeyun and hurried towards the hospital. Before leaving, he nudged Jiang Miao with his foot to make sure she wasn't faking her faint, and instructed the two workers at the door, "Two of you, take Jiang Miao to the clinic." With that, he picked up Zhou Yeyun and left the workshop. When the workers helped Jiang Miao up, they realized her whole body was burning up with an abnormal fever. By the time they carried her to the clinic, her temperature had already soared to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. The doctor on duty quickly gave Jiang Miao an injection and some medicine. It took several hours before her fever finally subsided. Meanwhile, the doctor treating Zhou Yeyun rolled his eyes. "If you'd come any later, the wound would have healed on its own. Don't waste other patients' time here." Shinshunjo was about to file a complaint about the doctor's attitude when Zhou Yeyun pulled him away. It wasn't until Shinshunjo got back to the factory that he remembered Jiang Miao hadn't returned from the clinic. "How's Jiang Miao? Why isn't she back yet?" "Oh, Director Shen, the Jiang girl had a fever of 104 degrees. She just broke the fever and went home to rest." Shinshunjo's expression turned strange. He knew he was in the wrong this time. But it had always been Jiang Miao who apologized to him. He could never bring himself to swallow his pride and apologize to her. At most, he'd just be nicer to her next time. As for her hurting Miayun this time, he'd let it slide. When Mother Jiang came home from work and saw how sickly Jiang Miao looked, it hurt her more than if she were sick herself. She asked Miao how she suddenly came down with such a high fever, but Miao only said she got chilled in the middle of the night. Mother Jiang had Father Jiang ask for 2 days off for Miao. She only let her go back to the factory once she saw Miao had mostly recovered. Just as Jiang Miao returned to her workstation, the factory announced a competition to select the model worker. Each participant would repair a component, and whoever produced the part with the finest craftsmanship and highest grade would be named the outstanding worker. Jiang Miao was brimming with confidence. Since she had decided to follow in her father's footsteps, her skills had to earn everyone's respect. After her rebirth, she had dedicated herself to mastering core technical skills. Combined with the extra tutoring her father often provided, she had already reached the level of an 8th grade mechanic. The results of the factory's model worker selection are in. The best male worker is Li Jianguo from Workshop 1. And the best female worker is actually from our workshop. That's a real feather in the cap for us in Workshop 2. Jiang Miao straightened her posture. That would be Zhou Yeyun. Everyone, let's give her a round of applause. Amidst the enthusiastic applause from the crowd, only Jiang Miao wore a solemn expression. She was confident that no one in the factory could produce parts more precise than hers, let alone someone like Zhou Yeyun. Zhou Yeyun either slacked off every day or passed the work to her. There was no way he could have made parts finer than her own. "Wait, I demand to inspect Zhou Yeyun's parts." Shinshunjo frowned at Jiang Miao, his tone impatient. "Jiang Miao, have you quite finished? This is no trivial matter. Can you please stop being jealous and making things difficult for others at every turn?" "Did I say I was jealous? What's the problem with me wanting to learn from the components of an outstanding female worker? What good would looking at it do? It's not like you can just make one by looking," Shinshunjo retorted disdainfully. "Is it not allowed? Unless there's something fishy going on, and you're afraid to let me see." The workshop buzzed with chatter. No one had ever heard of Zhou Yeyun, a mere grade 3 worker, taking the top spot. Everyone was curious to see what kind of precision part had earned her the title of best female worker. "Fine, but if you see it, you'll have to apologize to Yeyun in front of the whole factory. Admit she's the better worker, and you'll be barred from future workshop evaluations." Being barred from evaluations meant her worker grade could never be upgraded, dooming her to remain an ordinary female worker for life. Jiang Miao agreed without hesitation. "If she truly deserves it, I'm more than willing to admit she's better than me." Zhou Yeyun had broken into a cold sweat the moment Jiang Miao raised her doubts. Because she alone knew she had secretly swapped her own parts with Jiang Miao's. When she saw Jiang Miao's parts, she assumed factory director Jiang was using them to boost his daughter's credentials. In the end, the scales in her heart tipped from reason toward greed. "Let it go, brother Chinzhou. If Miao wants this title, she can have it. It's fine, really. What are friends for?" Zhou Yeyun, afraid the situation would escalate, wanted to settle the matter quickly. Little did he know that Shinshunjo, upon hearing his words, became even more determined to get justice for her. "Let's all go and have a look." Just to bear witness, the whole group marched in a grand procession to the parts workshop. When they found Zhou Yeyun's components, they couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, "Wow, truly the best of the best. This level of precision must be at least grade 8, yeah." Only the factory manager could produce something of this caliber. It's beyond my skill level. Who would have thought Zhou Nyeyun was so formidable? Jiang Miaomiao really bit off more than she could chew. Just as everyone was feeling sorry for Jiang Miaomiao, she realized the part was unmistakably hers. This part is clearly mine. Zhou Nyeyun must have swapped it with his. Oh, please, at least try to make your lies believable. Just because you're the factory director's daughter. You think you can say whatever you want, Shen Qinzhou sneered in contempt. He never missed a chance to bring up Jiang Miaomiao's background, as if he was terrified people might forget she only got the job because of her well-connected father. You're not trying to weasel out of it, are you? You're not going to back out on your promise, right? Everyone here is watching. Forget it, I don't need Miao Miao to apologize to me. I just don't want there to be any misunderstandings. She's probably just feeling a bit resentful, so don't be too hard on her. Zhou Nyeyun is playing the good guy again, but her words are dripping with accusations against Jiang Miaomiao. I can prove this part is mine. Oh, really? And how do you plan to prove that? Not just Shen Qinzhou, but everyone thought Jiang Miaomiao might have truly lost her mind, spouting such nonsense. All I need to do is make another part right here in front of everyone. That would prove it. I wonder if Zhou Nyeyun even has the guts. Zhou Nyeyun stammered, unable to reply. Seeing the distress on his sweetheart's face, Shen Qinzhou immediately stepped forward to speak up for Zhou Nyeyun. Jiang Miaomiao, don't change the subject. Why should we have a rematch? You said yourself that you'd admit you were outmatched once you saw the part. How can I admit defeat over a part that isn't even hers? I dare to replicate this part in front of the whole factory. Does she have the guts to do the same? Just as Shen Qinzhou was about to say more, a stern voice suddenly cut through the air. I agree. It's Director Jiang, here to back up his daughter. Poor Director Jiang, at his age, to have such a troublesome daughter. He's always cleaning up her messes. Who knows, if Jiang Miaomiao dares to say that, maybe it really is hers. Jiang's father walked over to Jiang Miaomiao and gave her a reassuring look. Director, this isn't fair. There are always mistakes when machining parts. Such a precise component can't be made in one go. Shen Qinzhou tried to argue further. Well, Comrade Jiang Miaomiao says she can make it, which only proves her skills are superior, doesn't it? Enough said. As the factory director, I do have the authority to make this call. Zhou Nyeyun's legs had already turned to jelly from fear. How could she possibly produce it? She had stolen the part from Jiang Miaomiao in the first place. With everyone watching, Jiang Miaomiao replicated a level 8 component in under 3 hours, and it was even half a grade more precise than Zhou Nyeyun's. In stark contrast, Zhou Nyeyun couldn't even produce a level 2 component after 3 hours of work. Zhou Nyeyun fell back on his usual excuse. I don't know why everyone is targeting me. I made it by accident back then. And now I just don't have the inspiration. Who's going to believe that? You can't even make a level 2 component. It seems Jiang Miaomiao was telling the truth. Who would have thought Zhou Nyeyun, who seems so gentle on the outside, could be so cunning on the inside? Hearing everyone discussing Zhou Nyeyun, Shen Qinzhou stepped in to defuse the situation. Alright, this doesn't prove anything. Perhaps Jiang Miaomiao just came out on top. Let's all just disperse now. Jiang Miaomiao found it amusing. How come when it's my turn, it's an apology, but when it's you guys, it's just let's drop it, Mr. Jiang hadn't expected his daughter's skills to improve so rapidly. While feeling gratified, he didn't forget to demand justice for her. Exactly, Director Shen, you're being rather biased here. Shen Qinzhou shot Jiang Miaomiao a fierce glare. How dare she make him lose face like this? Even if she came begging on her knees later, he wouldn't forgive her. Miaomiao, I apologize. I failed to recognize your true worth. Please forgive my ignorance. That's more like it, Mr. Jiang was pleased to see Shen Qinzhou humbled. His daughter used to love him so much that she wouldn't tolerate a single bad word said about Shen Qinzhou. Now, she had finally seen his true colors. The Jiang father and daughter, like triumphant tigers, swaggered home for dinner, one big and one small, both brimming with satisfaction. No one saw the venomous malice in Shen Qinzhou's eyes. Once I get my hands on the core technology, that old bastard from the Jiang family will get what's coming to him. The day Zhou Nyeyun and Lin Tao had arranged for their secret tryst at South Mountain was fast approaching. Zhou Nyeyun was worried. Her relationship with Jiang Miaomiao had hit rock bottom, so there was no way she'd agree to cover for her. Lin Tao was already growing tired of her. She had to win his heart back to secure her ticket into a wealthy family. A modest household like Shen Qinzhou's was beneath her. A sudden idea struck Zhou Nyeyun, and she rushed off to play the victim in front of Shen Qinzhou. Brother Qinzhou, because of that misunderstanding last time, Miaomiao hasn't been talking to me lately. I consider her my best friend. and her silence is making me lose my appetite. I feel so sad every night I could cry. Could you help me arrange to meet Nyeyun? Just to help smooth things over between us, I really want to apologize to her properly. Zhou Nyeyun leaned against Shin Chinzhou's chest, sobbing uncontrollably. After the last incident, people at the factory had started talking about her, and she could no longer enjoy the privileges that came with being the factory director's daughter. Jiang Miao Miao, you did nothing wrong. She's the one who doesn't know what's good for her. Don't worry. I'll definitely talk to her properly on your behalf. She should be the one apologizing to you. Please don't cry, you're breaking my heart. Shin Chinzhou held Zhou Nyeyun in his arms, but his mind was already wandering to ulterior motives. He needed to accelerate his efforts to obtain the core technology. He wanted to give Zhou Nyeyun the very best. So, while Jiang Miao Miao was studying in the workshop, Shin Chinzhou approached her with an ingratiating smile plastered on his face. Miao Miao, have I done something to upset you? Why have you been avoiding me lately? Shin Chinzhou asked, inwardly seething with disgust. Jiang Miao Miao claimed she would ask her father to teach him the core technology, but in reality, the moment she was displeased, she'd have her father pressure him. If it weren't for his ambition to climb higher, he couldn't be bothered to seek her out. No, what do you want? Jiang Miao Miao replied with icy indifference, not even sparing him a glance. Inside, she thought Shin Chinzhou had some nerve. Did he really think she hadn't done enough for him already? Well, since you're not upset, how about we go stargazing on South Mountain the day after tomorrow? The factory's organizing a movie outing, and Nyeyun is coming too. It'll be a good chance for you two friends to clear the air. I don't want to go. Shin Chinzhou's forced smile instantly fell from his face upon hearing the reply. Miao Miao, do you have a problem with me? You know, Director Jiang has been giving me a hard time lately. I'm sure you wouldn't want people saying he's abusing his power and bullying his subordinates, would you? Jiang Miao Miao was seething inside. She never imagined Shin Chinzhou could stoop so low. Sure. What time should I be there? Miao Miao, I knew you'd be the most understanding, Shin Chinzhou said, gently stroking her hand and giving her a suggestive look. It had to be said that Jiang Miao Miao was quite pretty, but in his heart, no one could compare to the pure and flawless Zhou Nyeyun. Jiang Miao Miao suppressed the urge to vomit and pulled her hand back. On the night of the movie, halfway through stargazing, Zhou Nyeyun, just like in their past life, complained of a stomachache. Oh, my stomach hurts so much. I need to go take care of it. Nyeyun, are you okay? Do you want me to come with you? Seeing the worry on Shin Chinzhou's face, Jiang Miao Miao cursed herself inwardly. How blind had she been in her past life to not see that Shin Chinzhou had feelings for Zhou Nyeyun? No, it's fine. I'll go take care of it. You two wait here for me. With that, Zhou Nyeyun dashed off in a flash. Only Jiang Miao Miao knew that she wouldn't be coming back. Just as Jiang Miao Miao was figuring out how to make her escape, Shin Chinzhou, at some point, had slipped an arm around her shoulders. Miao Miao. You mentioned last time about getting Director Jiang to hand over the core technology to me. When can we get started? Only after I've mastered the core technology will I be in a position to talk to your father about us. That's exactly how Shin Chinzhou had hinted to Jiang Miao Miao in their past life. Unfortunately, Jiang Miao Miao's mind had only latched onto the latter part of his statement. Jiang Miao Miao shifted her body to avoid Shin Chinzhou's hand. Before he even had a chance to change his expression, she hurriedly said, Brother Chinzhou, Nyeyun still isn't back. Could you go look for her? I hope she hasn't run into any wild animals. I'm going to head back first. Before Jiang Miao Miao could run off, Shin Chinzhou grabbed her by the wrist. You can't leave. If you go, it'll just be Nyeyun and me alone together. What will people think of her? Even with your spoiled princess attitude, could you at least consider our situation? Shin Chinzhou's hypocritical act made Jiang Miao Miao so angry she could spit blood. You tell me to think of you, but we're alone here. Just a man and a woman. Have you considered my reputation? Shin Chinzhou was taken aback that Jiang Miao Miao, who was usually so docile towards him, dared to talk back. He was momentarily at a loss for words. Miao Miao, don't be angry. I just think we'll be together eventually. So don't overthink it. Jiang Miao Miao couldn't bear to look at Shin Chinzhou's face a moment longer. She turned and ran down the hill. Shin Chinzhou was deeply unsettled. He couldn't understand why Jiang Miao Miao was now slipping from his control. A gnawing unease drove him to follow her down the mountain. The affection that once shone for him in her eyes had turned to distance and ice. He hated this feeling. The next day, while Jiang Miao Miao was in the middle of a training session, a group of people suddenly stormed into the factory. The other workers looked on in confusion, but Jiang Miao Miao alone trembled from head to toe. These were the very people who had arrested and sent her to prison in her past life. Who are you people? Zhang's father, as the factory director, stepped forward to find out what was going on. we're from the Strike Hard campaign team, someone saw and reported it yesterday. There are people in your factory engaging in illicit sexual relations. A serious breach of moral conduct, sir. You must have the wrong place, surely, or if you tell me who it is, I absolutely will not tolerate it. I'll hand them right over to you. The informant said the woman was wearing the new yellow dress from the store. A simple search would prove it. Jiang Miao Miao steadied herself, trying to stay calm. She couldn't reveal the truth directly. There was no evidence. Thankfully, she had already disposed of the yellow dress. Jiang Miao Miao glanced towards Zhou Nyeyun's position, only to find her looking completely unruffled. Shen Qinzhou stood beside her, exchanging meaningful glances with Zhou. Jiang Miao Miao found it utterly bizarre, and a growing sense of unease settled in her heart. Report, we've found it. A moment later, a person came running over, holding a yellow floral dress, whose house is the one in the middle of the second courtyard to the east. Immediately, a low murmur spread through the factory. Until a voice, soft, but loud enough for the person in charge to hear, came from somewhere. Isn't that the factory director's house? Hearing the words, Jiang Miao Miao's heart clenched, and her entire body began to tremble. Impossible, she had burned that yellow dress long ago. How could it have appeared out of thin air? Jiang Miao Miao snapped her gaze towards Zhou Nyeyun. Zhou Nyeyun averted his eyes, and Shen Qinzhou stepped in front of him, blocking Jiang Miao Miao's line of sight. Who is the factory director? It's me, but we don't have any yellow dress in our house, mister. Jiang felt uneasy inside. For one, he had no idea how a yellow dress could have appeared out of thin air, and for another, his daughter had indeed not been home yesterday, having gone to South Mountain. The dress was found in your house. How do you explain that? You still refuse to tell the truth. Guards, seize them. Just as the crackdown squad was about to arrest Zhang's father, Jiang Miao Miao stepped forward. I know who this yellow dress belongs to. Jiang Miao Miao shot a fierce glare at Zhou Nyeyun and pointed at him with unwavering determination. This dress was a gift from Shen Qinzhou to Zhou Nyeyun. Zhou Nyeyun flinched at the sound of her name, then immediately began defending herself. Miao Miao, after all we've been through as sisters, how could you do something so disgraceful and then try to pin it on me? That's right. Miao Miao, how could you? I never imagined you'd carry on like that and then frame Nyeyun. I was the one who gave you that dress. Shen Qinzhou also stepped forward to speak in Zhou Nyeyun's defense. Jiang Miao Miao sneered. You two called me out to look at the stars last night. Zhou Nyeyun left and never came back. Who's the one fooling around? And now you're ganging up to frame me. Upon hearing Jiang Miao Miao's words, Zhou Nyeyun actually began to cry. Since you're slinging mud at me like this, Miao Miao, I won't bother with sisterly loyalty anymore. I'll tell the truth, officer. Yesterday, Jiang Miao Miao said she was going to South Mountain to meet a friend and asked me to cover for her. I never thought my good deed would be turned against me. Just arrest me, officer. I truly had no idea she was going to do something so shameful. I just valued our friendship too much. Sobs. Zhou Nyeyun wept uncontrollably, a truly pitiful sight. I wasn't at South Mountain at all yesterday, Miao Miao. I thought of you as a sister. I never imagined you could be so malicious. Shen Qinzhou feigned heartbreak, reaching out to wipe Zhou Nyeyun's tears. The factory workers buzzed with gossip. Who would have thought Director Zhang's daughter would be so loose? We used to think she just had a difficult personality, but her thoughts and actions are downright wanton. Oh. You never really know a person. For all we know, Director Jiang knew all along and is just covering for his daughter here, all while trying to pin the blame on someone else. Exactly. And to think the Zhou family's daughter trusted her like a sister, she just used her as a scapegoat. Someone pointed out that Jiang Miao Miao was indeed not seen at the movie yesterday. Guards, seize her. Several men rushed over to take Jiang Miao Miao away, while her father paced anxiously nearby. Completely beside himself. No, you must have the wrong person, officers. My daughter doesn't even have a boyfriend. She's a good girl. There must be some mistake. I swear on my honor, mister. Jiang shielded his daughter behind him, like a lone hen protecting her chick, practically on the verge of kneeling to beg for her. Wait a minute, officers. You need evidence to make an arrest. This dress isn't even my size. It was a birthday gift from Shen Qinzhou to Zhou Nyeyun. He bought 2 sets. You can check the store's purchase records. For such an expensive item, the sales assistant is bound to remember. If this one is mine, then where is Zhou Nyeyun's? I wasn't here yesterday, so where were Zhou Nyeyun and Shen Qinzhou? You can't just single me out. I'm sure you wouldn't want people saying you're being unfair, would you? Jiang Miao Miao spoke point by point, making a clear and reasoned argument. Everyone in the factory listened and nodded in agreement. Shin Shinzhou and Zhou Nyeyun's hearts both skipped a beat. They never expected Jiang Miao, usually so foolish, to be so logical now, even willing to bring everyone down with her in a mutual ruin. Fine, have it your way, take all three of them away now. Locked in the strike team's detention cell, Shin Shinzhou and Zhou Nyeyun remained silent, each harboring their own sinister schemes. No one spoke up, because everyone already knew the truth of the matter. Just last night, Zhou Nyeyun and Lin Tao were caught in the act of their affair on South Mountain by a patrolling forest ranger. Hey, what are you two lovebirds doing in a place like this? Have you no shame? The night was pitch black, making the ranger's flashlight beam especially glaring. The two fled swiftly, but the ranger still caught sight of Zhou Nyeyun's conspicuous yellow dress. Zhou Nyeyun was filled with anxiety and wanted to ask Lin Tao what they should do next, but Lin Tao, utterly unconcerned, just hitched up the waistband of his pants that he hadn't had time to fasten. He didn't even see me, and even if he did, my dad can take care of it. What about me? You can't just abandon me. Lin Tao, why the hell should I care about you? You're just a bit of fun, and now you're making demands. Listen, if you cause trouble and my father finds out, I swear I'll end you. Lin Tao viciously grabbed Zhou Nyeyun by the throat. After saying his piece, he turned and swaggered off home without a second glance. Zhou Nyeyun ran down the hill, sobbing as she went, but she didn't dare go home, terrified of a brutal beating from her misogynistic father. In the end, the only person she could think of was Shin Shinzhou. In the dead of night, she knocked on Shin Shinzhou's door, threw herself into his arms, and wept with tears streaming down her face like rain on pear blossoms. At first, Shin Shinzhou was so overjoyed by Zhou Nyeyun's sudden embrace that he lost all sense of reason. Oh dear, what's wrong? Nyeyun, don't cry, don't cry, tell me, who's been bullying you? But as he listened to Zhou Nyeyun's story, his expression grew increasingly dark and somber. Brother Chinzhou, I know you have feelings for me. You're the only one who can help me now. Please, I'm begging you. Sobs. Where was I when you were sneaking around with other men? Now that the bastard you've been fooling around with has dumped you, you suddenly remember me. Shin Shinzhou was furious. He never imagined the person he held in his heart was someone others had already used and discarded. Get out. Just get the hell out of here. I can't help you. Shin Shinzhou grabbed Zhou Nyeyun's arm, hauled her to her feet, and shoved her toward the door. Zhou Nyeyun shook her head through tears, clinging to Shin Shinzhou's leg, refusing to leave his room. Brother Chinzhou, you've always been the kindest to me. You know my dad and stepmom, they won't care about me, they'll beat me half to death. You've always looked out for me since we were kids. Please. Suddenly, an idea seemed to strike her, and she began to take off her clothes. Brother Chinzhou, if you help me this time, I'll be yours from now on. I know you've always liked me, right? Just this once. Please help me figure something out. I treated you like the moon, like a precious pearl, and yet you, this shameless little slut, are already out there fooling around with thugs and lowlifes. Zhou Nyeyun was completely naked. She could hear Shin Shinzhou's breathing becoming ragged. He was her last lifeline, and she had to hold on tight. Shin Shinzhou's anger transformed into a different kind of desire, which he vented entirely on Zhou Nyeyun, taking out his frustrations on her with relentless intensity. Shin Shinzhou left early the next morning, curled up under the covers. Zhou Nyeyun let out a sigh of relief. She knew he had decided to help her after all, yet she never anticipated that Jiang Miao would suddenly get her act together, dragging them all into this mess. In the detention room, Zhou Nyeyun grew more anxious by the minute, and Shin Shinzhou's face was also dark with worry. If the investigation came back, neither of them would be able to escape the consequences. Seeing Jiang Miao's calm and composed demeanor, Zhou Nyeyun suddenly broke down emotionally and knelt before her. Miao, I'm so sorry, I lost my head. It was actually Brother Chinzhou who helped me do it. I've wronged you. Jiang Miao snorted coldly, not even bothering to spare him a glance. What's the use of telling me now? You'd be better off telling the crackdown team. Zhou Nyeyun ran over in tears, grabbing for Shin Shinzhou's hand, having just heard her betray him. Shin was furious and immediately shook her off. Zhou Nyeyun's tone suddenly turned harsh, her once gentle, lovely face now twisted with venom and resentment as she leaned in close to his ear. Shin Shinzhou, we're in this together now. If we don't find a scapegoat, two nobodies like us with no connections will never get away with it. Shin Shinzhou gave Zhou Nyeyun a long, hard look and frowned deeply. After a long pause, Shin Shinzhou put on a tender facade. He crouched down beside Jiang Miao, adopting the gentle demeanor of a caring neighbor, took her hand from her lap, and began to speak. Miao, I was wrong. You know, Nye Yun's family doesn't have the connections yours does. If you get arrested, your father is the factory director. If he pleads for leniency, You'd be locked up for a few years at most, you understand, right? I know you have feelings for me, how about you take the fall for this? We'll plead for mercy on your behalf from the outside. Once you're out, we'll get married. I'll do my best to learn your father's core technology while you're inside. When you come out, you'll be the factory director's wife. You'll be able to reap the rewards without lifting a finger then. Isn't that better than all three of us getting locked up together? Furious, Jiang Miao Miao raised her hand and slapped Shin Chinzhou. Shin Chinzhou, have you no shame? Do you really think I'm a fool? Shin Chinzhou's head snapped to the side from the force of Jiang Miao Miao's slap. His mind went blank. When had she started slipping from his control? After venting her anger, Jiang Miao Miao calmed down. She wasn't going to stay here and wait for death, retreading the same doomed path as her past life. Zhou Nyeyun, let me make this clear to you. Don't you dare try to drag me down with you. The investigation will clear my name. And even if it doesn't, my father will find a way to get me out. The two of you can just wait here to face the firing squad. You're such a fool. You're the only one taking the fall, while the man you were having an affair with gets off scot-free. And Shin Chinzhou, if you're so eager to be the busybody and take the blame, I won't stop you. Seeing Zhou Nyeyun's emotions becoming unstable, Jiang Miao Miao deliberately provoked her. At the same time, she was hinting at a way out for Shin Chinzhou. It was up to them to take the hint. Shin Chinzhou's eyes lit up after hearing this. Jiang Miao Miao was right. He couldn't risk getting himself tangled up for a scumbag like Zhou Nyeyun. He pulled Zhou Nyeyun aside and whispered something to her. Zhou Nyeyun nodded with a look of grievance on her face. Not long after, the officer returned from his investigation and took the three of them out one by one for questioning. Jiang Miao Miao answered truthfully and was released in less than half a day. It seemed Shin Chinzhou had chosen to abandon Zhou Nyeyun after all. At home, Father Jiang waited anxiously. Even upon seeing Jiang Miao Miao return safely, he couldn't quite put his mind at ease. Jiang Miao Miao explained the whole story to her parents, and only then did the Jiangs finally feel reassured. Within a few days, Zhou Nyeyun and Shin Chinzhou were also released, with the higher-ups explaining it away as a simple misunderstanding. Just as Jiang Miao Miao had anticipated, by implicating Lin Tao, someone was bound to come to their rescue. She never expected to take down those two in one fell swoop anyway. However, Shin Chinzhou and Zhou Nyeyun were demoted and suspended from work for a month. They claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but the truth had already spread like wildfire through the entire factory. In the days before Zhou Nyeyun returned, the courtyard was filled at night with the sounds of her sobbing and a man's shouts, accompanied by the crack of a whip. Shin Chinzhou cared about his reputation above all else. Unable to bear the gossip and pointing fingers, he shut himself away at home almost every day. Jiang Miao Miao listened to the surrounding chatter with indifference. For her, the most dreaded moment of her rebirth had passed smoothly, and from now on, life would only get better and better. Little did she know, fate is like a butterfly's wing. Each small change can lead to a profound transformation. When Zhou Nyeyun fled from home to the wasteland behind the factory, his back was still marked with several whip welts crusted with blood, and the faint imprints of slaps were visible on his face. Why does it always have to be like this? All I want is to escape this house and live a decent life. What's so wrong with that? Zhou Nyeyun lay face down in a pile of withered grass in the wasteland, weeping until he was gasping for breath. The sound of footsteps grew closer. Oh, you poor thing. Why are you crying so hard? Zhou Nyeyun cried even harder upon hearing the comfort, turning his body to seek the man's sympathy. Brother Chinzhou, you're the only one who. Before the words could even leave his lips, Zhou Nyeyun's sobs cut off abruptly, morphing into pure terror, his voice trembling. Why you? How is it you? Zhou Nyeyun stammered in fear, scuttling backward into the pile of dry straw. Who did you think it was? Your darling Shin Chinzhou. Right, he ditched you ages ago. You ugly slut, I've had my way with 100 times over. Lin Tao's mocking grin vanished in an instant, remembering the brutal beating and days of confinement his father had inflicted because of Zhou Nyeyun. His face twisted into the visage of a wrathful demon. Sensing the danger, Zhou Nyeyun scrambled to her feet and tried to make a run for home. Lin Tao caught up to her in 2 strides, grabbing her by the hair and yanking her back several steps. Where do you think you're going? You had the nerve to rat me out. Do you have any idea my old man tanned my hide raw because of you? I'm not letting you off easy today. I need to teach you a lesson to settle this score. With that, Lin Tao slapped Zhou Nyeyun across the face, first one cheek, then the other. Help, help. Zhou Nyeyun struggled desperately, but she was no match for Lin Tao's strength. Still screaming, are you? Smack, smack, 2 more slaps landed. After beating her for what felt like an age, Lin Tao grew tired. He tore open Zhou Nyeyun's clothes and bit her neck, sinking his teeth in deeper and harder the lower he went. Please, let me go. It wasn't me, I swear, it was Jiang Miao Miao. Lin Tao's movements faltered for a moment. It was all Jiang Miao Miao. She said if I gave you up, your father would take care of everything for me. Lin Tao stared at Zhou Yeyun with suspicion, while Zhou Yeyun looked back at him, nodding frantically. Lin Tao thought of Jiang Miao Miao, fair skin, a nice round backside, and a pretty face to boot. He'd held back before because she was the factory director's daughter, but now that she'd crossed him like this, taking a little interest on the debt she owed him didn't seem unreasonable. The more Lin Tao thought about it, the faster his breathing became. He shot a few glances at Zhou Yeyun before his mind started wandering back to fantasies of Jiang Miao Miao. I doubt you have the guts or the brains for it anyway. Go get Jiang Miao Miao out here for me, and I'll let you off the hook this time. Zhou Yeyun's eyes widened at Lin Tao's words. How could she possibly trick Jiang Miao Miao now? They'd already burned that bridge long ago. Of course I'm willing, Lin Tao snarled, giving Zhou Yeyun's hair another vicious yank. Fine, I'll help you, just let me go. A flash of malice crossed Zhou Yeyun's eyes. Jiang Miao Miao, this is all your fault. Who told you not to just take the fall? Why should I have to suffer all this while you, Jiang Miao Miao, get to live happily ever after? Jiang Miao Miao hadn't even had a few days of peace before her dear father, the factory director, mysteriously summoned her back home. Miao Miao. Come quick and look at the new dress your dad bought you. Try it on. It's the latest style from the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Father Jiang thrust a red velvet dress into Jiang Miao Miao's hands. Oh my, Comrade Jiang, what's gotten into you buying me clothes? Something's fishy. What's your scheme? Don't make it sound like your old man doesn't dote on you. Not only am I buying you clothes, I'm also taking you to the state-run restaurant for dinner tonight. Jiang Miao Miao was utterly bewildered. Had her father been possessed by a ghost, maybe she should find the village shaman to perform an exorcism. Don't you dare curse your old man in your head. I can read your face like a book. I know exactly what you're thinking. I'm just happy to see you finally come to your senses after all these years of being so clueless. Alright, Jiang Miao Miao teased, grinning at her father. Then it's settled, 6 o'clock tonight. After you finish work, meet me at the state-run restaurant. Why aren't we going together? Jiang Miao Miao was completely baffled. Can't your mother and I have a little private itinerary, he said, then left with a proud, almost haughty look on his face. When Jiang Miao Miao arrived at the state-run hotel that evening, she finally understood what her father was really up to. At the table her father had reserved sat a man in a military uniform. He had sharp, chiseled features and an upright posture. His skin was tanned, likely from years of outdoor training. His uniform was stretched taut over a physique of solid muscle, making Jiang Miao Miao blush with a mix of embarrassment and fluster. Hello, I'm Jiang Miao Miao, she said as she took her seat, feeling utterly awkward. Hello, Comrade Jiang, my name is Jiang Jingchuan, I'm currently serving in the military. I'm very pleased you agreed to meet with me. Jiang Miao Miao felt a little lightheaded from his words, so he had known he was meeting her. She had assumed he'd been tricked into coming too, and yet, his name sounded vaguely familiar. Hello, I'm just an ordinary factory worker. Haha, Jiang Miao Miao said awkwardly, nervously smoothing her skirt. I know, here's the menu. Your father mentioned a few of your favorite dishes. Would you like to add anything else? Jiang Jingchuan handed over a menu, as Jiang Miao Miao took it. Her hand accidentally brushed against his, a hand twice the size of her fist. You know, Jiang Miao Miao was puzzled again. Jiang Jingchuan gazed into Jiang Miao Miao's eyes for a moment. His deep, inscrutable expression was almost mesmerizing, threatening to pull her in. Before Jiang Miao Miao could recover, Jiang Jingchuan turned his face away. It's okay if you don't remember. We have plenty of time. After the meal, Jiang Jingchuan walked Jiang Miao Miao to her door, waited to confirm she was safely inside, and then left. As she got to know him, Jiang Miao Miao discovered he was a gentle and considerate man, a stark contrast to his outward appearance. The moment Jiang Miao Miao got home, she saw her parents lounging on the sofa, leisurely watching TV. You old rascal, how dare you trick me into going on a blind date? Hey now, don't go putting words in my mouth. He just happened to be coming over for dinner. What's the harm in you two meeting? He's a military man, made regimental commander at a young age. What's more, he's the son of my old classmate. We know his family inside out. You even played together as kids, don't you remember? Hearing her father's words, Jiang Miao Miao suddenly remembered the officer from her past life, the one her father had found to vouch for her, who ended up being demoted 3 ranks as a result. So it was him. What? Not your type? Oh, Dad, I'm still young. Are you really in such a hurry to marry off your little princess? Father Jiang let out a long sigh. Your father just hopes that one day, when we're gone, someone will be there to look after you." Deeply moved, Jiang Miao Miao threw her arms around her parents. "What a shame about this movie ticket, going to waste," Father Jiang said, pulling a ticket stub from his pocket. "Hey now, who says I'm not going?" Jiang Miao Miao exclaimed, darting over to snatch the ticket from her father's hand. The whole family was laughing together, a picture of pure joy and harmony. When Shen Qinzhou and Zhou Nyeyun returned to work, people at the factory pointed and whispered behind their backs, their glances laced with quiet contempt. Jiang Miao Miao was deep into her research on the core technology when an irritating voice shattered her concentration. "Miao Miao, I brought you your favorite white rabbit creamy candies, you have to try one." Shen Qinzhou held out a small box of white rabbit candies, offering it to Jiang Miao Miao with an ingratiating gesture. Looking at the white rabbit candies in the box, Jiang Miao Miao was reminded of the past. She never really liked white rabbit candies to begin with. Her father had bought them for her by the boxful since she was a child, and she had long grown tired of them. It was because Shen Qinzhou used to buy a few for Zhou Nyeyun every time he got his paycheck. She would watch from the side, her eyes full of longing, and he would grudgingly give her one or two. It was only because they came from him that she had adored them so much. "I don't want it, I'm sick of this stuff, give it to Zhou Nyeyun." Jiang Miao Miao turned her face away, but Shen Qinzhou grabbed her shoulder and forced her to look at him. "Miao Miao, I'm sorry, I was blind before, fooled by that bitch Zhou Nyeyun. Let's go back to how we were, okay, back to the days when it was just you and me, together every day, please. This time it'll only be you and me." Jiang Miao Miao looked at Shen Qinzhou's frenzied expression, her brows furrowed so tightly they could crush a mosquito. "That's Shen Qinzhou for you. When he loves you, he puts you on a pedestal. When he doesn't, he makes you feel worthless." She wrenched her hand free from Shen Qinzhou's grasp, her face a mask of calm. "Shen Qinzhou, you're still not well. What's gotten into you? Go back to the past. Back when I followed you around like a puppy, desperately trying to please you every single day. Let me tell you something, in your dreams." Shen Qinzhou froze for a few seconds. The fervor in his eyes gradually faded into cold indifference. Like a beast finally shedding its human skin, he stared down at Jiang Miao Miao from his superior position, his gaze fixed and unyielding. "Fine. You want me to leave you alone? Done. Tell me about that technique you said your father was going to pass on to me, and I'll stop bothering you." Jiang Miao Miao had never seen someone so shameless. Her face was pale with fury. "Get out, get the hell out of here." Too fed up to waste any more words on Shen Qinzhou, Jiang Miao Miao grabbed the welding torch for the parts and swung it at him. Only when Shen Qinzhou had retreated outside the workshop did Jiang Miao Miao slam the door shut with a loud bang. The commotion in the workshop drew the eyes of every worker. Shen Qinzhou tried to say something more, but under the weight of their murmurs, he slunk away in disgrace. Jiang Miao Miao had barely thrown herself back into her work for 2 hours when the workshop door was knocked on again. Is this guy Shen Qinzhou never going to give up? Jiang Miao Miao forced herself to ignore it. But the person knocking had a relentless, door-shaking determination. Furious, Jiang Miao Miao yanked the door open. Clearly, she hadn't been blunt enough last time. It seemed she'd have to tear him a new one right here, in front of the whole factory, to get the message across. "Shen Qinzhou, are you seriously not done yet?" Before she could finish, Jiang Miao Miao spotted Zhou Nyeyun at the door. "It's the first day back to work, and one after another. They're already coming to give her a hard time, picking on her and her alone, huh?" Before Jiang Miao Miao could get a word out, Zhou Nyeyun spoke up first. "Director Zhang wants you to go to Workshop 6 and pick up a U-shaped component. I'm just passing the message. Believe it or not, I don't care." With that, he turned and walked away. Jiang Miao Miao looked skeptical. She had indeed asked Director Zhang for a batch of U-series parts a few days ago, but he had said they were in short supply and would need to be transferred from Haishur, which would take at least half a month. It had only been a little over a week. She hadn't expected them to arrive so quickly, but judging by Zhou Nyeyun's expression, he didn't seem to be lying. She glanced at her watch. It was 5:30. She had made plans with Jian Jingchuan to see a movie downtown at 6. All right then. She could pick up the parts and head out right away. Workshop 6 was located outside the main factory building, requiring one to cross the sports field. As Jiang Miao Miao stepped out, she happened to run into the elderly security guard who was on the field, getting some sun. "Uncle." "That's right. Oh, it's the Jiang family girl. Are you finishing up for the day?" "Yes, uncle. I'm just heading to Workshop 6 to pick up a batch of parts. Then I'm done." It wasn't until Jiang Miao Miao entered Workshop No. 6 that she began to sense something was wrong. The workshop stored parts and was usually sparsely populated, but it shouldn't have been completely deserted like this. Moreover, she couldn't find the U-shaped part Zhou Yeyun had mentioned, her instinct screaming. Jiang Miao turned and bolted for the exit, but before she could reach the door, it was locked from the outside. Before she could even cry for help, an arm suddenly wrapped around her waist from behind. And another hand clamped over her mouth. MMPH, you smell so good, and your skin is so soft. Jiang Miao, right, I've had my eye on you for a long time, now you almost got me thrown in jail, it's only fair you make it up to me by sleeping with me. With that, Lin Tao began groping Jiang Miao, frantically tearing at her outer clothes. MMPH, get off me, Lin Tao, I'll report you for this, go ahead, sue me, I've been through it before, I'm not scared. Getting to you just once would be worth doing time, get away from me, help, somebody help. Jiang Miao was grabbed from behind around the waist, her whole body thrashing as she kicked wildly in the air. Jiang Jingchuan had arrived an hour early to wait for Jiang Miao outside the factory. He waited for nearly another hour as people came and went, until almost no one was left coming out of the building. Hey, son, we're about to lock up, are you waiting for someone? Everyone's already gone for the day. The security guard on his rounds had spotted the young man waiting at the factory gate early on. The old guard, a military veteran himself, recognized Jiang Jingchuan as a serviceman at a glance. Feeling a sense of camaraderie, he went over to ask, "Yes, sir, I'm here to see Comrade Jiang Miao. We made plans to go see a movie at 6. Jiang Jingchuan saluted the old guard. "That girl from the Jiang family, is she still not out?" "I saw her head to workshop 6 over half an hour ago. I thought she'd have gone home by now." Jiang Jingchuan's years of military experience told him that Jiang Miao was in trouble. When Jiang Jingchuan kicked open the door to workshop 6, he saw Lin Tao pinning Jiang Miao to the ground, fumbling with his trousers. "Stop." Jiang Jingchuan grabbed Lin Tao and flung him aside like a rag doll, then immediately landed several punches squarely on his face, still not satisfied. He slammed Lin Tao to the ground and began pummeling his face with his fists. Jiang Miao snapped out of her shock and saw Jiang Jingchuan in a frenzy, his whole body radiating violence, each punch drawing blood, pulling her clothes tight. Jiang Miao ran over to pull Jiang Jingchuan away, the tears still glistening in the corners of her eyes. "Jiang Jingchuan, stop, stop hitting him. Jiang Jingchuan, stop, you'll kill him, you're a soldier." As she spoke, Jiang Miao reached out again to grab Jiang Jingchuan's hand. The warmth on his arm finally brought Jiang Jingchuan back to his senses. Jiang Miao began to cry, tears streaming down her face. "Stop fighting, Jiang Jingchuan, I don't want you to throw your life away for me." Jiang Miao's voice was thick with congestion. Although Jiang Jingchuan didn't understand what she meant by again, he couldn't bear to see her so distressed. His heart felt wrenched tight. All right. Miao, don't cry. "Come on, let me take you home." Jiang Jingchuan spoke in a soft, soothing voice as he took off his own coat and wrapped it around Jiang Miao. His fingers, roughened from years of holding a gun, gently wiped away her tears. Jiang Jingchuan's oversized coat enveloped Jiang Miao, giving her the comical feeling of a child sneaking into an adult's clothes. She tucked her head deeper into the collar, feeling completely safe and protected. Jiang Jingchuan picked up Jiang Miao and carried her out of the factory. As he passed Lin Tao, he delivered a hard kick to his stomach before stepping right over him. The very next day, Jiang Jingchuan had Lin Tao arrested on charges of hooliganism and deliberate framing, and locked him up in the military district. Once inside, even Lin Tao's father couldn't pull any strings to get him out. Jiang Jingchuan carried Jiang Miao all the way to the compound gate and still wouldn't let go. Brother Jingchuan, you can put me down now." After saying that, Jiang Miao was the first to blush. Oh, right. Jiang Jingchuan snapped out of his daze. After setting Jiang Miao down, he felt an unfamiliar emptiness in his arms. "I'll head back now," said Jiang Miao, gesturing toward the courtyard gate. "All right, off you go." Jiang Jingchuan gently adjusted Jiang Miao's coat once more, his tone as kindly as a father seeing his child off to kindergarten. After saying goodbye to Jiang Jingchuan, Jiang Miao had walked about 10 meters toward home when she suddenly remembered something and turned back. Jiang Jingchuan was still standing there, frozen in his previous pose, gazing blankly at Jiang Miao's retreating figure, completely taken by surprise when she suddenly turned around. "So, about the movie, could we go see it together next time?" Jiang Miao turned her head, holding up the ticket from her purse with one hand while pointing with the other, a brilliant smile spreading across her lips. Jiang Jingchuan was utterly captivated by her smile, unable to look away. After a long pause, he finally nodded dumbly, then broke into a silly, boyish grin of his own. The two of them stood grinning at each other by the courtyard gate like a pair of love-struck fools, completely unaware they were being watched by a venomous snake, like a rat in a sewer. Shin Shinzhou hid behind the curtain, his eyes fixed unblinkingly on Jiang Jingchuan and Jiang Miaomiao. His hand clutched the fabric so tightly the veins in his neck bulged, looking ready to burst. Jealousy and resentment nearly drove Shin Shinzhou to rush out, drag Jiang Miaomiao away, and lock her up at home to hide her from the world. That bitch Jiang Miaomiao is no better. She changed her heart in a flash and is now off fooling around with another man. Once I get my hands on the core technology, I'll make that wretched woman pay. I'll lock her up at home and force her to kneel and beg for my forgiveness. How dare she look down on me? Before dawn the next day, Shin Shinzhou slipped stealthily into the factory director's office. Shin Shinzhou rummaged through the files in the factory director's office. Where the hell did that old bastard hide the core technology files, hidden this well? Just what you'd expect from that bitch's father. A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. Disgusting, Shin Shinzhou cursed as he searched, but after turning the entire office upside down, he only found some design blueprints and discarded drafts. He didn't know that Director Jiang never had any physical files for the core technology. He had always kept it all in his head. He himself was the living document. Furious, Shin Shinzhou ran his hands through his hair and kicked over the trash can beside the desk. What was that noise? Old Jiang asked as he unlocked the office door and heard the sound of a trash can toppling over. It's you. What are you doing in my office? Old Jiang snapped irritably. This kid, Shin Shinzhou, had inexplicably appeared in his office. How did he get in? How long had he been here? He didn't dare to think about it further. Shin Shen hadn't expected factory director Jiang to arrive so early. He was so absorbed in his search that he hadn't realized it was already the start of the workday for most of the factory staff. Jiang, Uncle Jiang, what are you doing here? Shin Shinzhou's mind raced, desperately searching for an excuse as cold sweat beaded on his forehead. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? This is my office. Where else would I be? And don't call me uncle. I don't deserve that title, Mr. Jiang hadn't forgotten the last time when Shin Shinzhou had falsely accused Jiang Miaomiao of adultery, nearly landing her in prison. That boy, he's seen it all along. He clearly doesn't like my daughter, yet he keeps stringing Jiang Miaomiao along every day. It's a shame Miaomiao wouldn't listen to reason. She couldn't stand to hear a single bad word about Shin Shinzhou. Thank goodness my daughter doesn't like him anymore. Uncle, Miaomiao asked me to come get that core technology document from you. She said she wanted to review it again. Mr. Jiang had been around the block. To become a factory director, you had to be shrewd. He didn't have any core document at all, and with one listen, he knew exactly what game Shin Shinzhou was playing. Oh, Xiao Shen, don't take this the wrong way, but if Miaomiao really wanted to see a core document, I could just tell her about it at home myself. Why would we need an outsider? And one who once framed her, at that, to handle this? Think before you lie. Old man Jiang had long wanted to get revenge for his daughter but had never found the chance. He never expected Shin Shinzhou to walk right into his hands. Shin Shinzhou hadn't expected to be exposed so instantly, nor had he anticipated that old man Jiang would show him not an ounce of respect. His face flushed red, then paled white. Not satisfied yet, Mr. Jiang twisted the knife even deeper. Xiao Shen, a person shouldn't be so ruthlessly ambitious. You strung my daughter along before, and she was completely devoted to you. As her father, I didn't feel I could say much. She's my only daughter, so of course I indulged her. But now Miaomiao has seen the light. For certain people with ill intentions, I'd suggest they keep their distance. Besides, didn't you learn your lesson last time? To be frank, with your level of intelligence, even if we gave you the core technology, it'd be useless. What you lack innately, no amount of hard work can make up for. Maybe you should just go back and take over your father's line of work. Stick to farming, Mr. Jiang felt a deep, satisfying warmth spread through him. It might have been a bit underhanded, but if anyone dared bully his daughter, he was ready to go to war for her. Mr. Jiang was like a hen that had just won a fight. He couldn't keep the grin off his face, turning away to pretend to water the plants while secretly chuckling to himself, inwardly delighted. A sickening thud echoed as something heavy struck the back of a skull, followed immediately by the sound of a body crumpling to the floor. You old bastard, you've been dangling that core technology in front of me for ages, refusing to hand it over even on your deathbed. Who the hell do you think you are, looking down on me? I'll kill you, damn you. Shin Shinzhou grabbed the large vase from the desk and smashed it repeatedly against the back of Director Zhang's head. He hit him so hard that the vase cracked in several places. Still seething with rage, he then kicked the unconscious Director Jiang several times as he lay on the floor. With a vicious sneer, Shinjinjo ground his foot into Director Jiang's face. You old fool, since you refuse the easy way and choose the hard way, and won't hand over the core technology, then you can just die. But his triumph was short-lived, as the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from outside. The commotion from Director Jiang collapsing had been too loud, and workers from nearby had come to investigate. After composing himself for a moment, Shinjinjo opened the door to the director's office, his face a mask of panic. Someone, quick, call an ambulance, the factory director has collapsed. Oh my god, he's bleeding, the director's lying in a pool of blood, shouted a worker who had come to check on the commotion. Meow meow, hurry, the director collapsed and was hit by a vase. He's been rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Jiang Meow Meow was in the middle of assembling a part when several female workers rushed over in a panic to inform her. She was about to say it must be a joke, but seeing the workers' frantic expressions as they pulled her towards the door, her mind went blank. She managed a smile that was uglier than a grimace. By the time the workers brought Jiang Meow Meow to the hospital, her father was still in surgery. Her mother sat anxiously outside the operating room, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Mom, what on earth happened to Dad? How could he just collapse out of nowhere? He was perfectly fine when he left the house this morning. I don't know either. The workers just said they found old Jiang lying in a pool of blood and rushed him straight to the hospital. Your father, oh, Mrs. Jiang couldn't go on, tears welling up in her eyes once more. Shinjinjo appeared out of nowhere, draping an arm over Jiang Meow Meow's shoulder. Meow Meow, it's okay, I'm here, don't worry, your father is a good man, fortune favors him, he'll be just fine. Jiang Meow Meow shrugged off Shinjinjo's hand from her shoulder, turned, and grabbed his collar, her gaze sharp and probing. You know what's going on, don't you? Was this your doing? Couldn't get to me, so you went after my dad. If you have a problem, you come at me. Jiang Meow Meow forced herself to stay calm, repeating in her mind that she mustn't cry. Crying would shatter her composure and cloud her judgment. Meow Meow, how could you think of me like that? Is that really the kind of cold-hearted, conscience-less monster you see me as? Uncle Jiang watched me grow up. What possible grudge could I hold against him to make you think I'd harm him? Shinjinjo feigned shock and put on a wounded expression, but the sorrow never reached his eyes, which remained utterly cold. That's exactly what you are, Shinjinjo, stop pretending. I know exactly what kind of person you are, a venomous, ungrateful snake, a wolf that bites the hand that feeds it. Jiang Meow Meow grew more agitated as she spoke. She couldn't bear the thought of her father leaving her again. Had her rebirth truly been powerless to alter his fate? Several nearby workers pulled Jiang Meow Meow away, while her mother wrapped her arms around her. Meow Meow, what's done is done, her mother soothed. The important thing now is to wait for your father to wake up. We've watched the Shin boy grow up. He might be a bit too eager for success, but he's not a bad person at heart. From within her mother's embrace, Jiang Meow Meow fixed Shinjinjo with a deathly stare. Shinjinjo met her gaze calmly, without a hint of retreat. Moments later, he declared in a loud voice, I was the last person to see the factory director, since he won't be waking up anytime soon. And he expressed his wish for me to temporarily assume his duties before he fell unconscious. He didn't want the factory to grind to a halt because of him. I will be acting as the interim director, effective immediately, until Director Jiang recovers. That's bullshit. Why don't you just claim my father handed over our entire family fortune to you while you're at it? Everyone, take a good look. This is the kind of opportunist Shinjinjo is, a petty man who preys on others' misfortune. First, he framed me and nearly landed me in jail. Now he's the one who put my dad in the hospital, and before my father's even regained consciousness, he's already scrambling to steal his position as factory director. Jiang Meow Meow was itching to rush over and kick Shinjinjo a couple of times. What a disgrace. Do you have the competence or the skill? You're not fit to be the factory director. Shinjinjo watched the scrutinizing looks and hushed whispers directed at him from all around. His expression grew darker, yet he felt increasingly fearless. He had long since realized that he had been too lenient in the past. To achieve great things, one must be ruthless. If that bitch Jiang Meow Meow dared to show him disrespect, it was because he hadn't been harsh enough. He cleared his throat, looking down at the utterly distraught Jiang Meow Meow. Meow Meow, I know you hold a grudge over what happened before, but you heard the higher-ups. It was all a misunderstanding. I get that you're upset, but with the factory director unconscious, the place can't run without a leader for even a day. I was the only one there when it happened, and Uncle Jiang watched me grow up. He must have thought I was the right person to take charge. I know this might be hard for you to accept, but let's be honest, you're a woman. What good is a woman when a real crisis hits? Jiang Meow Meow was so furious she nearly fainted on the spot. The people around them were equally stunned by Shinshinjo's sheer audacity, but since it wasn't their fight, no one wanted to stick their neck out. Until a clear winner emerged, nobody was willing to take sides and risk making an enemy. What kind of nonsense are you spouting, Shin boy? Women hold up half the sky. Are you discriminating against us women? Mother Jiang initially tried to hold Jiang Miao back and mediate the argument, but the more she listened, the more she felt Shinshinjo was utterly despicable. Auntie Jiang, are you using your status as the factory director's wife to pressure me now, or are you just trying to pin a label on me? Shinshinjo sneered. Fine, let's settle this with fair competition. Whoever wins the higher award at the city's mechanical parts competition in a few days will become the acting factory director. Deal. But since you keep targeting me like this, let's raise the stakes. Whoever loses not only forfeits the acting director position but must also leave our machinery factory for good. I bet you don't have the guts to take that wager. Shinshinjo's confidence seemed to come out of nowhere, but Jiang Miao didn't have time to dwell on it. With everyone watching, she had no choice but to agree for the moment. Alright, I agree, but before that, I need to hear what the police have to say. After all, Jiang Miao was someone who had lived a second life and served 3 years in prison. While the workers were rushing her to the hospital, she had slipped away to a public phone booth to call the police. By her calculations, there should be a result by now. Shinshinjo's pupils contracted for a split second upon hearing this, but his expression quickly returned to normal. Perfect, let's have the officers bear witness then, so you can't go around spreading rumors and tarnishing my reputation, and if it wasn't me, don't accuse me of being an unfaithful friend, you'll have to apologize to me publicly. Jiang Miao looked at Shinshinjo's expression, and a flicker of doubt stirred within her. Could it really not have been him? Was it truly just an accident? Several hours passed with no news about Director Zhang's surgery. When a few people in police uniforms hurriedly arrived at the entrance to the operating room, "Who is Jiang Miao?" the man at the front asked the group. "That's me, officer. I was the one who called the police earlier. Is there news about my father's case?" The lead officer glanced at the crowd craning their necks to gawk behind Jiang Miao and pulled her into the relatively quiet hospital corridor. "I'm the police captain in charge of this case, Han Chao. We all know what kind of man factory director Jiang is, and we're taking this incident very seriously. However, I have some bad news. We've examined the scene and interviewed several workers. According to their accounts, he fell, hit the desk, and caused a vase to slide off and strike the back of his head, but we couldn't find the vase at the scene. Director Jiang is still in critical care, so we can't get his side of the story, even if this was an assault, without the key piece of evidence. We have no grounds to make an arrest." Jiang Miao felt her heart plummet. "Officers, it was just Shinshinjo and my dad there at the time. The killer must be him. You have to arrest him. Take him to the station for questioning. It's definitely him." "Miss, please calm down. We handle cases based on evidence. Right now, we have no eyewitnesses and no key physical evidence. We can't just arrest someone on a whim. Let's wait patiently to hear what the doctor says first." Jiang Miao had forgotten, she had been reborn. In this time, there was no advanced forensic technology, no sophisticated interrogation methods, and no surveillance cameras. Everything had reached a dead end once again. "We'll head back to the station for now. Oh, and one more thing. If this was a deliberate assault, it's likely the work of someone the victim knew. It's best not to make a fuss about it. To avoid tipping off the perpetrator, let's wait for the culprit to slip up." After seeing Han Chao off, Jiang Miao returned to the entrance of the emergency room, her face a picture of dejection. "Well, Miao, what did the police say? Was your father, was he murdered?" "Mrs." Jiang grasped her daughter's hand and asked in a hushed voice. Jiang Miao didn't answer. Instead, she shot Shinshinjo a look of grim determination. Shinshinjo merely raised an eyebrow in response. "Right, what did the police say? Miao, can they clear my name now?" Jiang Miao desperately wanted to tell everyone that Shinshinjo was the murderer, but without evidence, no one would believe her. She also remembered Han Chao's warning before he left, not to alert the enemy. She stammered as she began to speak, her voice so choked with frustration it was almost inaudible. The police said, Mrs. Jiang grew impatient with her daughter's stuttering. "For goodness sake, child, spit it out, you're driving me crazy." "The police said they didn't find anything at the scene and told us to wait for further results," said Jiang Miao, her eyes fixed intently on Shinshinjo. "You all heard that, right? It has nothing to do with me. Now, Jiang Miao, I demand you apologize to me in front of everyone." Jiang Miao bit her lower lip hard, torn between uncovering the truth about her father's coma and confronting the person who kept harming her and her family. the scales in her heart were beginning to tip. Why yes, I'm sore. Before Jiang Miao Miao could finish, a firm, low, and reassuring voice sounded from behind the crowd. Director Shen, the investigation results aren't out yet, and the case isn't closed. An innocent person has nothing to fear. Why are you in such a hurry to defend yourself? Got a guilty conscience. Jiang Jingchuan strode over to Jiang Miao Miao's side, blocking Shen Qinzhou's aggressive gaze. He then turned and gave a slight nod to Jiang Miao Miao and her mother. He had just received the news during military training and immediately requested leave from his superiors to rush over. Quite the show of authority, Commander Jiang. Wasn't it Jiang Miao Miao herself who said she would apologize to me? Now she's calling in reinforcements to weasel out of it. Shen Qinzhou watched their intimate exchange, seething with anger. He cursed Jiang Miao Miao inwardly for being such a social climber. No wonder she'd been ignoring him. She'd found herself a powerful patron. Just another gold digger. The case isn't even closed yet. Nothing's been decided. There'll be plenty of time for apologies once it's settled. Besides, Director Shen, an innocent man has nothing to fear. So what's the rush? Shen Qinzhou clenched his fists at his sides and snorted through his nose. Fine, I'll be waiting for that day. I'll hold down the fort as acting factory director in the meantime. I have business to attend to at the factory, so I'll take my leave. With those words, Shen Qinzhou turned and walked away. No one saw the venomous look that crossed his face as he did. Seeing this, the others from the factory also offered a few words of comfort before heading back to work together. Xiaochuan, what brings you here, Mrs. Jiang felt a bit awkward for troubling Jiang Jingchuan, as they weren't particularly close. It's no trouble at all, Auntie. My father heard about it, but he couldn't get away himself, so he asked me to come check on Uncle Jiang. How are you holding up, Miao Miao? Just as Jiang Miao Miao opened her mouth to say something, the door to the hospital emergency room swung open, and Mr. Jiang was wheeled out. How is he, doctor? How's my husband, Mrs. Jiang? And Jiang Miao Miao urgently asked, pulling at the doctor's sleeve. We got to him just in time and managed to save him. However, he has a skull fracture and is still unconscious. We can't say for sure if or when he'll wake up. There's a chance he could remain in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. The family needs to prepare for that possibility. Upon hearing the doctor's words, Mrs. Jiang's legs gave way and she collapsed to the floor. Jiang Miao Miao and Jiang Jingchuan quickly rushed to help Mrs. Jiang back to her feet. Doctor, I have a question. Is being hit by a falling vase really that serious? The doctor looked incredulous. Impossible. At worst, it would have been a minor concussion. The patient has a skull fracture. This was definitely caused by a violent, external impact. After hearing the doctor's words, Jiang Miao Miao and Jiang Jingchuan fell silent, simply exchanging a look. Mrs. Jiang's eyes widened as she was about to demand, doesn't that mean my Lao Jiang was? Jiang Miao Miao patted her mother's hand, cutting her off. We understand, doctor. Thank you. The doctor nodded and wheeled Mr. Jiang into the intensive care unit. Mom, don't worry. I will find the evidence of who hurt Dad and catch the culprit. I won't let anyone in our family get hurt ever again. With Mrs. Jiang staying behind to care for the factory director, Jiang Jingchuan escorted Jiang Miao Miao to the factory gate. Thank you for today, Jingchuan. Jiang Miao Miao kept her head down, still pondering her plans for the future. Miao Miao, if you trust me, how about we investigate the truth behind Uncle Jiang's injury together? With me by your side, I'd feel more at ease. And I'm sure Uncle Jiang wouldn't want you looking into this alone either. Jiang Miao Miao slowly raised her head, her bright eyes filled with inquiry. Jiang Jingchuan, why are you so inexplicably kind to me? In her past life, he had even taken a demotion and a transfer to a remote post to vouch for her. And in this life, he was showing her endless care and favor. Jiang Miao Miao had already fallen for that kind of poison disguised as honey in her past life. Jiang Jingchuan didn't speak. He had rushed over from the military district in such a hurry that he hadn't even had time to change, still wearing his uniform, and his army boots were caked with mud from the frantic run. You really don't remember, do you? Jiang Miao Miao didn't want to hear any more and cut Jiang Jingchuan off. I don't care who you are. Don't come looking for me again, and you have no business meddling in my family's affairs. Jiang Miao Miao didn't dare look up at Jiang Jingchuan's expression. She was afraid she'd feel guilty, afraid she wouldn't be able to bear it, but she truly didn't dare gamble anymore. The only person she could truly rely on was herself. Without waiting for Jiang Jingchuan to try and stop her, Jiang Miao Miao turned and walked resolutely towards the factory, never looking back. Jiang Jingchuan stood frozen like a wooden post at the factory gate, his gaze locked on the spot where Jiang Miao Miao had disappeared. His lips were pressed into a tight line, like an abandoned wolfhound, As soon as Jiang Miao returned to the factory, she headed for the director's office, hoping to find some clues. Before she even reached the door, she heard Shinshenzhou directing workers to move things. A pile of items was stacked by the entrance. "You lot, get all of this, and that moved out of here. Oh, and make sure my desk faces the window. It helps me feel more alert in the mornings." Jiang Miao watched as all of her father's belongings were cleared out and carelessly dumped by the door. A photo frame containing a picture of her and her father had been thrown to the ground, shattered into pieces. She picked up the broken frame, cradled it in her arms, and stormed inside to confront Shinshenzhou. "Shinshenzhou, what is the meaning of this? You're not even the factory director yet, and you're already putting on airs. Aren't you afraid of making a fool of yourself with such nerve? You lot, step outside for now." Shinshenzhou dismissed the workers, leisurely settled into the factory director's office chair, and only then cast a casual glance toward Jiang Miao. "Laugh at me? Do they even dare? So what if they gossip? As long as I stand high enough, all I'll see is a breathtaking view. Not the ants of envy and idle chatter below." "Shinshenzhou, don't you forget our bet. You have no right to sit here." Shinshenzhou chuckled softly. He stood up, leaned in close to Jiang Miao, and lifted her chin with his hand, admiring the look of utter disgust on her face. "Then you can try to kick me out after you've beaten me. As long as your father remains unconscious for a single day, and you haven't won our bet for a single day, I remain the acting factory manager." Jiang Miao shook off Shinshenzhou's hand in disgust, unfazed. Shinshenzhou leaned in close to her ear with a smug look on his face. In a voice meant only for her, he whispered, "Besides, do you really think your father is going to wake up?" Hearing his words, Jiang Miao's heart skipped several beats. She glared at Shinshenzhou, utterly furious. "I knew it was you. Hey, you need evidence to back up your words, and the same goes for handling a case. I have other things to attend to. So I won't see you out." Jiang Miao watched Shinshenzhou's retreating figure, her grip tightening on the photo frame in her hand until the shattered glass bit deep into her palm, the pain finally registering. Just as Jiang Miao was about to leave, the voice from behind sounded again, coiling around her like a cold, venomous serpent, suffocating her. "Oh, by the way, Jiang Miao, when did you become so clever? It's like you're a completely different person all of a sudden." "Could it be that?" Shinshenzhou left the sentence hanging, creating a suspenseful pause, then added, "But you know, marrying you isn't so bad after all. You're smart, clean, and easy on the eyes. The real kicker, you know the core technology your father would rather die than reveal." Jiang Miao hurried out of the office, afraid that if she stayed a moment longer, she would be sick. Jiang Miao refused to sit back and do nothing. Shinshenzhou had hidden the vase, and he was bound to find a way to dispose of it. She would keep her eyes glued on him. She was also determined to win the city's mechanical parts competition decisively, help her father reclaim his position as factory director, and bring Shinshenzhou to justice. Jiang Miao remembered that the U-shaped component she had asked Director Zhang to adjust should have arrived by now. This part was crucial for her research into the core technology her father had left her. She was just one step away from being able to fabricate a 9th-grade component. Knock, knock, knock. Jiang Miao rapped on the door of Director Zhang's office and walked in. "Oh, Miao, I heard about your father. Don't be too upset. Try to relax. Old Jiang is a good man with fortune on his side. He's sure to wake up." Jiang Miao nodded and got straight to the point. "Uncle Zhang, thank you. I came by today to ask about that batch of U-shaped fittings I requested from you last time. Have they come in?" Director Zhang looked at Jiang Miao, his face full of hesitation. After a long pause, he finally let out a sigh. Miao, look, I'll be straight with you. That shipment of fittings arrived at noon today, but just an hour ago, Factory Director Shen had the whole batch transferred out." "What, Uncle Zhang, how could you do this too? Do you also think Shinshenzhou is going to be the factory director?" Director Zhang took off his reading glasses, pinched the bridge of his nose, and began speaking with grave sincerity. Miao, your Uncle Zhang is getting old, and I have 2 kids at home to support. You know that. I just want to work steadily and peacefully until retirement. We've all seen what Shinshenzhou is like. He's smart, driven, works on his technical skills day and night, and became workshop supervisor at such a young age. But a man who's that hard on himself will only be harder on others. You can't win against him. Try to smooth things over. If you do, he might remember your past ties and let you keep your job at the factory." Jiang Miao nodded, a mix of exasperation and bitter amusement on her face. It turned out everyone knew exactly what kind of person Shinshenzhou was, yet they were all still on his side. "Well, Uncle Zhang, if that's how you feel, there's no point in me saying any more. goodbye." With that, she turned and walked out of the workshop office. "Oh, you," sigh. Director Zhang shook his head helplessly. Jiang Miao returned to her workstation dejectedly, only to find her workload had multiplied several times over. "What's going on here?" Jiang Miao demanded, standing up. But no one paid her any attention, only the female worker at the neighboring station, who was somewhat familiar with her, quietly tugged at her sleeve and whispered, Miao, Director Shen said you slacked off on a lot of work before, relying on your father's position as Director Jiang. Now he's demanding you make up for all of it. He also said if you're not happy with it, you can resign." Jiang Miao felt like crying. Only after her father fell from power did she realize how utterly alone and helpless she was. Pretending to wipe a tear from the corner of her eye, she took a deep breath and started working. The atmosphere in the factory director's office was thick with unspoken tension. Upon hearing that Shin Shinzhou had been promoted to director, Zhou Nyeyun hurried over, eager to curry favor. She was now perched on Shin Shinzhou's lap, her head nestled against his neck, and said in a coquettish tone, "Congratulations, brother Chinzhou, you finally got your wish and became the director. Nyeyun is truly happy for you." Shin Shinzhou stroked Zhou Nyeyun's thigh, his eyes filled with contempt and disdain. "So, brother Chinzhou, now that when are you planning to come to my family to propose?" Hearing Zhou Nyeyun's saccharine words, Shin Shinzhou let out a hearty laugh. The next second, he grabbed Zhou Nyeyun by the hair and shoved her to the ground. Zhou Nyeyun looked up at him, her face a mask of confusion, tears welling in her aggrieved eyes. "Do you really think I'd want some worn-out, discarded trash? Who the hell do you think you are? If it weren't for helping you, I wouldn't have had to burn bridges with Jiang Miao. I could have claimed this position legitimately a long time ago. I thought you were different. But it turns out you're just another gold-digging slut who's already been around the block. And you have the nerve to demand a proper status from me." Zhou Nyeyun's face darkened, his eyes filled with resentment. "How dare you judge me? You know perfectly well Jiang Miao is into you. You've been stringing her along all this time just for this position, haven't you? We're cut from the same cloth. What gives you the right to criticize me?" Shin Shinzhou mustered all his strength and slapped Zhou Nyeyun across the face. "You've got a death wish, haven't you? Don't you know how that old bastard ended up in the hospital? I haven't even leaked your dirty little secrets yet." Zhou Nyeyun shuddered violently. Trembling, he shuffled on his knees to Shin Shinzhou's feet, straightened up, and slapped himself twice before speaking in a quavering voice. "Brother Chinzhou, I'm sorry, please spare me. I'll never dare to do it again. I'll do anything you want. Please don't kill me. I can be useful. I'll do anything you tell me to do." Shin Shinzhou gave Zhou Nyeyun a kick in the rear, behind his glasses. His eyes were unreadable, their expression hidden by the light's reflection. "Look at you, wagging your tail like a dog. But actually, there is something I need you to do for me." Jiang Miao had been watching Shin Shinzhou from behind her window for days. Finally, late one quiet night, he left his house carrying a black cloth bag. Glancing around cautiously, Jiang Miao followed Shin Shinzhou to a dense patch of woods behind the hill. He dug several holes, placed something into each one, and buried them, creeping closer to memorize the spots where he'd buried the items. Jiang Miao failed to notice the branch under her foot creak. The sound made both of them jump, startled like frightened birds. "Who's there? Jiang Miao, is that you? Get out here right now, or you'll regret it." Hiding behind the tree, Jiang Miao listened to the approaching footsteps, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. "You brought this on yourself by following me. I was going to spare you. But now I'll just have to send you to meet that old bastard." At the critical moment, a noise came from the dense woods nearby. Without a second thought, Shin Shinzhou chased into the forest. Before Jiang Miao could even catch her breath, she felt a hand cover her mouth as she was pulled into a firm embrace. "Shu, be quiet," Jiang Jingchuan whispered. He led Jiang Miao in the opposite direction, running toward the mountaintop. Only after reaching the summit and confirming they had shaken off Shin Shinzhou did he finally release her. "Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? A young woman, out alone at night. What would you have done if something had happened?" Jiang Miao was completely tongue-tied by Jiang Jingchuan's scolding. She'd never seen him this angry before. Is this how he usually chews out the soldiers under his command? Jiang Miao's face flushed with embarrassment. She changed the subject. But then, thinking of something, she regained her defiant composure. "What are you doing here? Have you been following me?" Jiang Jingchuan felt like prying open Jiang Miao's head just to see what on earth was going on inside. "I was just afraid you'd do something stupid. If I hadn't come today, you'd be dead." Jiang Miao pouted, her emotions suddenly boiling over. "What's wrong with wanting to find the person who hurt my dad? Is it too much to ask for a normal, ordinary life? Everyone at the factory just follows the wind. and Shinzhou only knows how to push me around and bully me, and you have to scold me on top of it all." Jiang Jingchuan waited quietly for Jiang Miaomiao to finish venting, then gently pulled her into a loose embrace. "It's okay now, it's okay, leave it to me, I'll help you." Jiang Jingchuan gently soothed Jiang Miaomiao's back, the warmth from his palm seeping through her clothes to her spine. Jiang Miaomiao suddenly remembered her childhood. Before her father was transferred to the Southwest Machinery Plant, when their family lived in a courtyard house in Nanshur, one day, she saw a few fallen fledglings under the large locust tree in the yard. Summoning a courage she didn't know she had, she climbed the tree to return them to their nest. Only to find herself unable to get back down. She was so frantic, crying up in the tree, that she caught the attention of the big brother from next door. Jiang Miaomiao, being quite the looks-obsessed girl, started chasing after the neighbor's big brother every single day, and he was always happy to play with her. "Come on down, I'll catch you, just jump." "Really, but I'm scared, trust me, I'll catch you." Jiang Miaomiao leapt down from the tree. The boy ran to catch her, but the momentum sent them both tumbling to the ground. He held her tightly, cushioning her fall, and gently stroked her back, ignoring his own scrapes and bruises. "It's okay now, it's okay, I've got you, you're so good to me. When I grow up, I'm going to marry you, Brother Chuan." The long-sealed memories broke free. Jiang Miaomiao finally remembered her past with the man before her. She whispered, "Brother Chuan," and the man, hearing her with his sharp ears, let out a soft chuckle. "So you finally remembered, you little ingrate." Shinzhou chased after it for a long time, only to discover it was a stray cat. To be safe, he ran back and changed the hiding spot a few times. What he didn't expect was that Jiang Miaomiao and Jiang Jingchuan hadn't gone down the mountain at all. Instead, they were hiding at the summit, waiting for their chance. Jiang Jingchuan and Jiang Miaomiao waited until daybreak before carefully digging up what Shinzhou had buried. It was the fragments of a vase, shattered into pieces so small they were almost impossible to hold. Jiang Miaomiao was feeling down. Jiang Jingchuan gave her shoulder a reassuring pat. "Leave this to me, you just focus on preparing for the competition the day after tomorrow. I promise I'll get justice for Uncle Jiang and make sure Shinzhou faces the consequences of the law." Jiang Miaomiao looked at Jiang Jingchuan and nodded with a smile. On the eve of the citywide competition, all participating contestants from the factories were required to submit their entries one day in advance, awaiting the announcement of the results the following day. Having been burned by swapped parts before, Jiang Miaomiao was on high alert. She decided to keep watch at the entrance to the competition submission warehouse. To her shock, the same thing happened to her again, and by the same person, hiding by the door. Jiang Miaomiao watched as Zhou Yeyun, who wasn't even a contestant, furtively unlocked the warehouse, slipped inside, and emerged a short while later clutching something. After Zhou Yeyun left, Jiang Miaomiao quietly slipped into the warehouse herself. Sure enough, her parts had been swapped. Her original grade 8 component had been replaced with a grade 4 one, yet, she couldn't confront Zhou Yeyun. With no surveillance footage, the organizers, in the name of fairness and avoiding controversy, would likely just advise her to withdraw from the competition. Jiang Miaomiao steeled her resolve. It was just a grade 8 component. After all, she'd already made several. She could just pull an all-nighter and make one more. If she worked through the night, she should be able to finish in time. Jiang Miaomiao returned to the factory. Luckily, there were still a few semi-finished prototypes she had been practicing on. Just as she was gearing up for a long night's work, she fished out several U-shaped components from her workstation, along with a note. "Don't tell anyone I gave you these." Thinking of the tone director Zhang must have used when saying that, a warm feeling spread through Jiang Miaomiao's heart, filling her with renewed energy as she threw herself back into the task. Finally, after scrapping parts until only a U-shaped component remained, Jiang Miaomiao successfully produced a grade 9 part. As she passed by Shinzhou's part, she took a glance, with its 8th grade precision. She was certain she could win this competition and reclaim her father's position as factory director. On the day the results were announced, the venue was filled with elite engineers from various machinery plants. They gathered in small groups, passionately discussing techniques. Their goal wasn't just to win, but to contribute to the nation's development and strive to build a better country. Seeing everyone so vibrant and full of drive, Jiang Miaomiao felt a pang of shame. Her own purpose for competing was merely to vie with Shinzhou for the acting factory director position. "Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to see the finest talent from all our city's machinery plants gathered here today." The city organized this competition with the goal of fostering technical exchange and mutual growth. Remember, friendship comes first, competition second. Without further ado, let's have our city official announce the results. For this citywide precision parts competition, third place goes to Chen Jiangwo from Southeast Machinery Plant. Thunderous applause filled the room, mixed with palpable anticipation as everyone wondered who would take the top spots. Wow, our Southwest Machinery Factory is really full of talent. We actually took both first and second place. Jiang Miao's heart inexplicably tightened. She gave herself a pep talk. Come on, Jiang Miao, you can definitely win this competition. First place goes to Xin Xinzhou from Southwest Machinery Factory. Second place is Jiang Miao, also from Southwest Machinery Factory. Upon hearing the results, Jiang Miao stood up in shock. This couldn't be right. She had clearly seen that Xin Xinzhou's components were only standard grade 8, while the precision of her own components had reached grade 9. What on earth was going on? Jiang Miao's mind raced. Systematically eliminating every possible reason for the competition's outcome. Meanwhile, Xin Xinzhou, beaming with pride, had taken the stage to give his speech. Jiang Miao stood with her fists clenched tight, staring at the ground in disbelief. She didn't even notice when Xin Xinzhou walked up beside her. So, Jiang Miao, a bet's a bet. When are you getting the hell out of Southwest Machinery? Xin Xinzhou's voice was brimming with immense satisfaction. While Jiang Miao was still in a daze, what trick did you pull? I saw your parts myself. They were only grade 8. Xin Xinzhou chuckled, as if mocking Jiang Miao's naivety and ignorance, and leaned close to his ear. Because the problem was never with the parts themselves. The judges would never let me lose. You didn't think I'd only rely on that idiot Zhou Nyeyun to swap the components, did you? I learned my lesson from that last time, sweetheart. Jiang Miao stared at Xin Xinzhou in utter shock, her mind reeling. Xin Xinzhou actually bribed the judges. Looking at Xin Xinzhou's smug face, Jiang Miao itched to claw it to shreds. In his good mood, Xin Xinzhou felt like teasing Jiang Miao. After all, she'd be out of here soon anyway. What's the matter, Miao? Why don't you get on your knees and beg me now? I might still be soft-hearted enough to let you stay, hand over the core technology, and who knows, if I'm in a good mood someday, I might even make you the factory director's wife. Apart from her initial shock, Jiang Miao had shown little emotional fluctuation, which made Xin Xinzhou suspicious. Have you lost your mind? As soon as the words were spoken, a group of people in military and police uniforms stormed into the venue. They closed in on Xin Xinzhou. You are suspected of involvement in a case of intentional assault. Please cooperate with our investigation. Xin Xinzhou looked at the police officers surrounding him on all sides, his face ashen. He stammered for a long moment before finally pointing at Jiang Miao. What did you do? The night before last, Jiang Jingchuan spent a full day and night restoring the vase. He delivered it to the police station overnight for wound pattern analysis and to provide evidence that he had witnessed the act of discarding the item in a remote location. The police immediately dispatched officers at noon to apprehend Xin Xinzhou. I'm waiting for the police. What are you waiting for? Jiang Miao finally smiled, a look of profound relief washing over her. Didn't see this coming, did you, Xin Xinzhou? What were you thinking when you smashed that vase over my father's head? Everything that's happening to you now is exactly what you deserve. Go get what's coming to you. Xin Xinzhou seemed to have lost his mind. I didn't lose. Let go of me. What right do you have to arrest me? I'm the factory director, the new director of the Southwest Machinery Factory. You can't arrest me. No one gets to look down on me. Jiang Miao watched, her heart a tumult of conflicting emotions. As Xin Xinzhou was dragged away by the police in his deranged state, she remembered the 3 innocent children in the courtyard, sharing candy and promising to be friends forever. When exactly had the other 2 started rotting from the inside out? Jiang Jingchuan sensed Jiang Miao's distress. He patted her head and comforted her, saying, "It's all over now." Half a month later, the Xin Xinzhou case came to a close. Xin Xinzhou was sentenced to life imprisonment on multiple charges, including intentional assault, trafficking factory patents, bribing officials, and defaming others. Zhou Nyeyun was sentenced to 15 years as an accomplice, for failing to report a crime, and for engaging in illicit relationships. The officials who accepted bribes also received their due punishment. Jiang Miao was promoted by the city to become the new director of the Southwest Machinery Factory. The photograph of her and her father was once again placed on her office desk, not long ago. Director Zhang's condition improved, and she regained consciousness. Jiang Miao went to visit her father and teased, "Dad, you're looking much better. Time to get back to work, don't you think? How about I make you a factory manager at the same level? Let your daughter take care of you for a change, mister." Jiang rolled his eyes, then smiled with relief. "I didn't spoil you for nothing, but I'm getting on in years. Let your old man enjoy a few quiet years of retirement." Now that the factory is in your hands, I can rest easy. You must use our core technology to make Southwest Machinery Factory thrive. Oh, Jingchuan's here. Come in, Mrs. Jiang, who had been listening to the father-daughter banter with a smile, suddenly noticed Jiang Jingchuan standing at the hospital room door and hurriedly ushered him inside. Hearing it was Jiang Jingchuan, Jiang Miao Miao blushed with embarrassment. Now it was Mr. Zhang's turn to tease her back. Well done, Jingchuan. I heard you pulled off another great feat, so, are you here to see this old fossil, or are you here for that little monkey butt over there? Oh, Dad, who calls their own daughter a monkey butt? Jiang Miao Miao protested with a pout, playfully thumping her father's thigh. Don't you go rattling these old bones of mine. When are you two going to make things official? This time, even Mrs. Jiang was taken aback by her husband's words and shot him a glare. Jiang Jingchuan chuckled and looked openly at Jiang Miao Miao. Well, that depends on when Miao Miao is willing to give me this chance. A few days before Jiang Miao Miao and Jiang Jingchuan's wedding, an elderly farmer suddenly burst into Miao Miao's office. Miao Miao, I'm begging you on my knees, please put in a good word for Qinzhou. I'll kowtow to you. The old man's forehead thudded heavily against the floor with each kowtow. The sound made Miao Miao wonder if her own father, in her past life, had gone from door to door pleading for her in the same desperate way. Miao Miao recognized him as Qinzhou's father and hurried forward to help the old man to his feet. Uncle, I'm sorry, but these were the paths Qinzhou chose for himself. You can't blame anyone else. You know, I'm my father's daughter too. I think if you put yourself in my shoes, you'd understand. Qinzhou was his father's child born in his old age, so the family doted on him excessively. However, because of his father's status and age, Qinzhou also faced a lot of criticism. Qinzhou, his name evokes the idiom sinking the boat or burning one's boats, a symbol of decisive commitment. Sadly, he only chose to sink. Jiang Miao Miao still chose to visit Qinzhou in prison. He had become gaunt, unkempt, and mentally disoriented. They gazed at each other for a long moment, neither speaking. Jiang Miao Miao couldn't bring herself to say the words of forgiveness. Neither in this life nor the last could she find it in her heart to forgive Qinzhou. With only 3 minutes left in the visitation period, Qinzhou suddenly spoke, his voice hoarse from long disuse. Miao Miao, I had a dream. I dreamed of the very beginning, when you took the fall for Zhou Yeyun, served 3 years in prison, and after you got out, I married you. We lived in peace for 20 or 30 years, but in the end, I still abandoned you. How could I have been such a bastard, such a fool? I thought I was outsmarting everyone, but I spent my whole life being played by others. What if, just what if, I had chosen you from the start? Would things have been different? We could have had a warm little home, a bunch of kids, and none of this would have happened. Visiting hours were over. After quietly listening to Qinzhou, Jiang Miao Miao stood up and walked to the door of the visitation room. But still couldn't help saying one last thing. Qinzhou, there are no what-ifs. On the day of Jiang Miao Miao and Jiang Jingchuan's wedding, the entire courtyard was festooned with lanterns and decorations, and the sound of firecrackers was deafening. Jiang Jingchuan, who normally never touched a drop of alcohol, was plied with drinks by the guests until his face and neck were flushed bright red. Jiang Miao Miao quickly poured a glass of water for Jiang Jingchuan to help sober him up, only to be suddenly pulled into a tight embrace by his strong arms. Jiang Jingchuan nuzzled against Jiang Miao Miao's chest, letting out a soft, silly chuckle. What's so funny? Look at you, being all goofy. Jiang Miao Miao couldn't help but start giggling along with him. You're finally mine. Come on, call me Brother Chuan. No, Jiang Miao Miao, reminded of the childhood nickname, seemed to grow tipsy from the scent of alcohol on Jiang Jingchuan. What's wrong? You used to call me that all the time when we were kids, chasing after me. Jiang Miao Miao, bashful, playfully pounded Jiang Jingchuan's shoulder. He grabbed her hand and gave it a couple of playful nips. He scooped Jiang Miao Miao up and laid her on the bed. Hey, what are you doing? I haven't even showered yet. Jiang Miao Miao's eyes darted around, unsure where to look as she faced Jiang Jingchuan's firm, exposed chest. If you won't call me brother, then you'll have to find another name for me today. I don't know anything. I'm going to sleep. Jiang Miao Miao played dumb, pulling the covers over herself to hide. Jiang Jingchuan, amused, dug out Jiang Miao Miao, who was curled up under the covers pretending to be an ostrich, and gently kissed the corner of her lips. Darling, give me a kiss. Story 2. Gu Yishan plagiarized my work for the sake of his childhood sweetheart. He molded his childhood sweetheart into a literary prodigy, all while draining my inspiration and life force in the name of love, that is, until I was reborn back to the day his sweetheart won her first award. Thinking I was about to pester him again, Gu Yishan scowled and snapped at me. Isn't this perfect? Achin gets fame, and you get money. Isn't money what you love most? But he didn't know I had already bought a train ticket to the capital. I wanted nothing more to do with Guishan, not him. And certainly not his money. Later, Guishan knelt before me, weeping bitterly. Sure, I'll give you anything, just come back to me, please, Comrade He-ching. Congratulations on winning the Peaches and Plums Riding Cup. On behalf of all the comrades at the newspaper, I am delighted to inform you and offer our sincerest congratulations. Guishan, holding a bouquet of flowers, walked slowly up to He-ching. He-ching gave a shy smile and accepted the flowers. They looked like the perfect couple. A match made in heaven, but Guishan was supposed to be my boyfriend. As I took in my surroundings, I realized I had been reborn, right back to the day He-ching used my work to win the championship. All the agony from my past life came flooding back into my mind at that moment. My work was stolen, my arms and legs were broken, and I was imprisoned in Guishan's house. My head was splitting with pain as I slowly stood up. He-ching, give me back my work. In an instant, the congratulatory chatter in the auditorium died away, and all eyes turned to me. Guishan's face contorted. He stepped sideways, placing himself in a protective stance in front of He-ching. He asked angrily, Comrade Linsher, I know you're upset about not winning the award, but that's no reason to spread such rumors about Comrade He-ching. If you claim Comrade He-ching stole your work, then you need to provide proof. I paused for a moment, and then it suddenly came back to me. My manuscript is with Guishan. I trusted him so completely, and now that very trust has turned into a blade that cuts me. I have no proof. A wave of desolate sorrow washed over me. Comrade Linsher, envy is not a good look. Guishan had the final say, pinning the blame squarely on me. Right, as long as his childhood sweetheart remained pure and flawless, he was capable of anything. Even though I was the one who was his girlfriend, everyone else looked at me with utter disgust. As the event ended, He-ching walked towards me with Guishan, with red-rimmed eyes. He-ching spoke in a choked voice, Comrade Linsher, this is all my fault. Please, don't blame Brother Ashen. Guishan looked at her with a pained, comforting expression, but when he turned his gaze to me, his eyes were utterly cold. What's so bad about this? AQing gets fame, and you get money. Isn't money what you love most? So that's how he sees me. I was boiling with rage, my voice rising involuntarily. Then what if I want to ruin her reputation? In those early days of reform and opening up, society placed a high value on knowledge and talent. Without a word, Guishan raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. My face swelled up instantly, a dull, throbbing ache filled my head, and my vision began to blur. Seeing his wary expression, I was reminded of a time long ago. Guishan sat down beside me and said with a smile, Comrade Linsher, your handwriting is beautiful. And your words are so moving. I promise I'll help you get published one day. Back then, he wasn't even the deputy editor-in-chief of the newspaper, yet he was already thinking of helping me publish my work. But now, he's abusing his position to submit my work to the competition for He-ching without my permission. Every single word of that promise keeps replaying in my mind. Tears fell like scattered pearls. Landing on Guishan's arm, he cupped my face in his hands, stroking it gently as he whispered, Sure, I didn't want to hit you. I was just too frantic. You know how important reputation is for a woman. I would never let you harm AQing. Guishan's eyes held pity and regret, but in an instant, they were replaced by other emotions. He-ching trembled and burrowed into Guishan's embrace, hiding her face from my view. From start to finish, I never laid a finger on He-ching. So how could I have possibly hurt her? Faced with a choice, in his heart, it was merely a matter of choosing He-ching all the more resolutely. My heart felt as if it had been slashed open by his words, bleeding profusely. With my face still swollen and red, I arrived at the station and bought a ticket to the capital, departing in 3 days. In my past life, starting from that day, He-ching seemed to have gotten a taste for it. Time and again, she pressed Guishan to hand over my work to her. Guishan granted her wish. They were like leeches clinging to me, slowly draining me of my spirit, my life, and my vitality. I still remember, right before I died, Guishan looked at me with pity in his eyes and said softly, Sure, I will take care of you for the rest of your life. I felt like a beggar receiving alms. I jolted awake from a nightmare to find Guishan sitting by my bedside. I was the one who gave him the key, granting him free access to my home, and it was precisely this privilege that allowed him to obtain so many of my manuscripts. Guishan frowned, asking with concern, Sure, what's wrong? Did you have a bad dream? I was wrong to hit you yesterday, but you absolutely cannot tell anyone the truth, understand? Alright, how about I take you to the restaurant from our first date today? Consider it my way of making it up to you. Gu Yishan kept talking to himself, not bothering to ask for my opinion at all. I reined in the mockery in my eyes and slowly rose to my feet. As we passed by the flower shop, Gu Yishan even bought me a bouquet. The flowers were fragrant and beautiful, just the kind I like. My long-dormant heart began to beat for him once more. So he does remember. I thought he'd forgotten. Brother Ashen. Comrade Lyncher, what a coincidence running into you both here. We actually ran into He Qing. She looked stunning today, with a rosy, radiant complexion. She was wearing a beautiful red floral dress that made her look absolutely gorgeous. I didn't miss the flicker of admiration in Gu Yishan's eyes. Ah Qing, what are you doing here? Would you like to join us for dinner later? We can celebrate you taking first place. In that instant, it felt as if my breath had been stolen. As I looked at Gu Yishan, my heart shattered into pieces. But it was supposed to be our date, just the two of us. He Qing's eyes held a challenge, yet her tone was as soft as a breeze. Brother Ashen, is this really okay? Comrade Lyncher is your girlfriend, won't she be upset? A flicker of hope shone in my eyes as I searched Gu Yishan's face for any trace of his love for me. No way, sure isn't that petty. Gu Yishan spoke up first, but his gaze never landed on me. He didn't dare meet my eyes. He was feeling guilty, see. He knew perfectly well I'd be upset, yet he still invited He Qing. I should have been completely disillusioned with him, so why do I still hope he would choose me, and only me, without hesitation? Perhaps he did give me some truly sweet moments, but the hurt he caused is also indelible. In the end, I gave in, and the three of us went to that restaurant together. The soft, amber lighting created a very intimate atmosphere. Couples were all around us, but our table was the only one with 3 people. Gu Yishan placed the menu in front of me in an ingratiating manner. Sure, you order. But I didn't have much of an appetite, so I just casually ordered a few of my favorite dishes. I picked at my food, watching as Gu Yishan peeled the shrimp with his own hands and placed the meat into He Qing's bowl. They were so intimate, it was as if they were the real couple. I thought I had already given up. So why does my heart still ache with this dull, lingering pain? How strange. My hands clenched involuntarily, and I let out a heavy, deliberate sigh. He Qing shot me a sidelong glance, covered her mouth in an exaggerated manner, and spoke with urgency. Sorry, Brother Ashen and I grew up together, so I'm just used to it. Maybe I should try to break this bad habit, Gu Yishan said dismissively. We've known each other far longer than she has. Qing, just be yourself, there's no need to change. Gu Yishan didn't see anything wrong with it. Yes. Even when he was in a relationship, he would peel shrimp for He Qing, see her home after work, and often have meals at her place. An invisible barrier seemed to exist between the two of them, impenetrable to anyone else. The sight was painfully glaring. I set down my chopsticks and stood up, ready to leave. From behind me, Gu Yishan spoke up, his voice laced with anger. Lyncher, I've already made it up to you. Why are you still so upset? We're all still eating. It's very rude for you to just walk out like that. I could almost picture Gu Yishan's expression, his brow furrowed, eyes blazing with anger, the veins in his neck standing out. It seems like I'm always seeing him in a state of anger. He never hesitated to smile warmly at He Qing, a sight I seldom witnessed. I let out a deep sigh and walked away without looking back. In just 2 more days, I could leave for good. I contacted a 20-year-old girl, intending to sell her my position at the newspaper. After all, I need money to live in the capital, yet somehow, Gu Yishan found out. He stormed over to me, his eyes cold and distant, and demanded, Lyncher, what on earth is this tantrum about? Why did you sell your job? Just so you wouldn't have to see Qing and I are just childhood friends, nothing more. If there was ever anything between us, would you even be in the picture? I only see her as a little sister. Even now, Gu Yishan still thinks it's all my fault. Everything I do is wrong. He Qing stood to the side, weeping pitifully and shaking her head incessantly. Comrade Lyncher, please don't argue with Brother Ashen because of me. It's all my fault, all my fault. Gu Yishan grew even angrier, and his grip tightened. Ouch, I cried out in pain. Gu Yishan let out a sharp sigh of relief, cupping my face as he spoke. It's fine, we're getting married anyway. If you sell your business, you can settle down at home, focus on being a good wife and mother. And taking care of my parents. I've noticed your temper's been getting worse. Have you been mixing with the wrong crowd outside? Staying home will be good for you. A more docile demeanor is more fitting for my wife. His face loomed large before my eyes, filled with a zealous intensity. I've seen that expression before, back when he forced me to write countless works. A flood of unpleasant memories washed over me. I recoiled in fright, stumbling back 2 steps and shoving him away. Tears streamed down my face as my body trembled uncontrollably. Seeing my frightened expression, a flicker of pity crossed Guishan's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by cold indifference. Linsher, even if you don't want to work, you can't use AQing as an excuse. Do you have any idea how much this could damage her reputation? You can do anything you want, but you must not hurt AQing, otherwise, I won't marry you. AQing is in poor health, her only dream is to become a writer. And I must help her achieve it, so, I'm just supposed to be the stepping stone for her to achieve her dreams. Is that it? I couldn't help but raise my voice in accusation. What about me? If you care so much about He-Ching, why aren't you with her? Is it really necessary to torture me like this? He cares so much about He-Ching. Brother Ashen and I are just like siblings. Comrade Linsher, please don't misunderstand. I have no intention of coming between you two. As He-Ching spoke, tears streamed down her face and her breathing grew ragged. Within moments, her face flushed a deep crimson, taking on the appearance of someone having a fit. Guishan slapped me hard across the face, his eyes bloodshot, and said with venom, Linsher, don't you dare look at me and A-Ching with your filthy mind. If it weren't for A-Ching's health, I would never have been with you. With that, he picked up He-Ching, turned, and ran off. So that's how it is. All the happiness he brought me, all our cherished moments together, it was all a lie. No wonder Guishan was so determined to get me pregnant, only to move into a separate room the moment I thought he genuinely wanted a child. Turns out, he couldn't bear to let his frail childhood sweetheart go through it. So he settled for me instead. I slumped to the floor, the tears soaking through my collar. Guishan, I want nothing more from you, not you, and certainly not your money. Chapter 2. Early the next morning, I packed my bags and left the place. Once I was settled in the capital, I received a reply from Xinhua News Agency. My work was accepted. Perhaps in the not-too-distant future, my work will be published. Comrades in every corner of the motherland will read the words I've written. I'm just like He-Ching in my past life. At this thought, my heart began to pound fiercely. I got ready and headed to the address in the letter. Sitting in the coffee shop, I watched everything outside the window with curiosity. The street was bustling with people, everyone on bicycles, with the occasional car passing by. Suddenly, I saw Guishan walking over from across the street. His eyes lit up the moment he saw me, and he hurriedly pushed through the crowd, running toward me. I quickly stood up, but he caught me before I could get away. Guishan gripped my wrist tightly, gazing at me with a hungry intensity, and whispered softly, Sure, I've finally found you. It was the first time I had ever seen Guishan in such a sorry state. He hadn't shaved, his clothes were rumpled, and the dark circles under his eyes were painfully obvious. Before I left a breakup letter for Guishan. What on earth is he trying to say now? I struggled to break free from him, but he was too strong. We're clearly over, so why is he still coming after me? Panic surged within me as I frantically looked around, desperate for help. Suddenly, a hand yanked Guishan away with great force. Guishan stumbled back several steps, bracing himself against a tree to keep from falling. The man before me was tall and ruggedly handsome, his low voice reaching my ears. Sir, step away from the lady. Can't you see the fear on her face? Leave now, or I'm calling the police. A flicker of panic crossed Guishan's face before he forced a look of composure. I'm Linsher's partner. Stay out of our business. We broke up a long time ago. Fearing the kind stranger would leave, I quickly retorted to Guishan. The man turned his head, raised an eyebrow, and looked at me curiously. So you're Linsher, the author of Like Smoke. I'm He Winshu, a senior editor at Xinhua News Agency. Hearing this, Guishan hurried over to me, his face etched with anxiety. What? You submitted Like Smoke. How could you submit it? What about A-Ching? My heart sank. As expected, Guishan came to me with an ulterior motive. I knew her true nature all along. How could he ever truly turn over a new leaf? I suppressed the mockery in my eyes and spoke, enunciating each word clearly. Give it up. I will absolutely not give you my work again. Guishan's eyes widened in surprise. He hadn't expected me to be so resolute this time. He then adopted a haughty expression and issued me an ultimatum. Linsher, this is your last chance. Come back with me. Give all of this to AQing, and I can marry you. It reminded me of my past life. When I refused to keep writing for them, Guishan would always threaten me like this. Back then, I truly valued this relationship above all else. I cared so much that I was even willing to give up my own self for him. But now, the Linsher who loved him was already gone. Seeing my silence, Guishan grew frantic and raised his hand to strike me. I shut my eyes in fear, but the expected blow never landed. Instead, it was Guishan who let out a pained scream. He clutched his stomach and writhed on the ground. The image of the elegant gentleman he once was completely gone. Hiwenshu slowly retracted his leg and exhaled a puff of cigarette smoke. I can't stand men who bully women. Guishan's face was contorted in agony, beads of sweat rolling down his cheeks. I find him utterly ridiculous right now. Hiwenshu dropped his mocking expression, opened the car door, and said to me, "Let's go. I'll take you to sign the contract. The newspaper is particularly optimistic about your like smoke. It has a very high chance of winning an award. Once it wins, getting it published won't be a problem. Of course I know. In my past life, He-Ching rose to fame precisely by using my work, like smoke. Now, I've simply taken back the honor that was rightfully mine." Guishan stared at me, his expression a mixture of dazed disbelief and naked envy. As I passed by, I gave him a spiteful kick in the gut. Seeing him grimace in pain gave me a profound sense of satisfaction. Not long after, news about Like Smoke arrived just as I was preparing for its publication. My fame skyrocketed, and a steady stream of visitors came to see me. Guishan came to see me a few times as well. This time was a little different. He brought some sweet pastries. Those were my favorite in my past life, yet, I felt an equal measure of disgust for them, because, during those days of captivity and exploitation, Guishan would only deign to buy me the cheapest sweet treats as a kind of charity, and only after I had created a perfect work for them, even though they were already quite wealthy by then. Tasting that sweetness meant I had endured another round of agony. Guishan would then present the candied fruit to me with an ingratiating air. A cloyingly sweet scent wafted into my nostrils, stirring a wave of nausea in my stomach. Fighting back my drowsiness, I shook my head. Guishan picked up a candied fruit and held it to my lips. Sure. Isn't this your favorite?" I slapped his hand away, my eyes fixed intently on Guishan. I never used to like this kind of thing, so why on earth would Guishan think I liked it? Could it be that he's been reborn too? The thought weighed on me like a boulder, crushing the air from my lungs. My fists clenched involuntarily. I took a few slow steps backward. To my surprise, Guishan rushed over and seized my hand. His fingers fumbled over mine, his scorching breath cascading down from above my head. Sure. I know I was wrong. I really do. It was all that bitch He-Ching who tricked me. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't be in this mess. But don't worry, I've taken care of her. She won't bother us ever again." With that, he pouted and leaned in towards me. God knows how many times he's kissed He-Ching with that mouth. It makes me sick. Hiwenshu suddenly strode over. In one hand, he held the cake. With the other, he grabbed Guishan by the collar. In Hiwenshu's grasp, the cake and Guishan were treated with the same disregard. Hiwenshu handed me the cake, frowning as he shoved Guishan out. Guishan collapsed on the ground like a sack of potatoes, the candied fruit scattering everywhere. The cake Hiwenshu gave me was decorated with red flowers, and it looked absolutely stunning. With one foot planted on Guishan's back, Hiwenshu sneered contemptuously. "Can't you see Lin sure doesn't like it? Why are you still pushing it? Sweet pastries are no match for little cakes when it comes to winning over the ladies." Yeah, Guishan is no match for Hiwenshu. I must have been blind before. I slowly crouched down in front of Guishan, holding up a small cake as I spoke. "Guishan, I never liked candied fruits. As for being with you, what gives you the right? I have a color TV and a mobile phone now. I'm a red-hot author, earning 100 yuan a month in salary, plus tens of thousands in royalties." With every word I spoke, Guishan sank his head a little lower, so he could feel insecure too. I lifted Guishan's chin with my finger, taking in the full view of the embarrassment and disorientation in his eyes. I let out a sudden, soft chuckle. After living 2 lifetimes, Guishan is still this naive. Guishan looked up at me, and a look of astonishment crossed his face as he saw my smiling expression. "I know I am beautiful now, but I was beautiful in my past life too. Only they tortured me until I was barely recognizable." I raised my hand and slapped him twice across the face. The frustration in my heart dissipated with the crisp sound of the slap. Squinting my eyes, I looked at Guishan's red, swollen, and dazed face, and said with a smile, "This is me paying you back, Guishan. What makes you think I'd still want a used-up man like you?" I straightened up, grabbed Hiwenshu's tie, and kissed him. Hiwenshu was stunned for a second before taking control of the kiss. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the hurt in Guishan's eyes. Would he even feel hurt? It's a shame. But I don't care anymore. I released Hiwenshu, turned to face Guishan, my tone cold and resolute. "There's nothing left between us that can be salvaged." An oppressive silence hung in the air. I took a deep breath, turned, and walked away without looking back. those 2 slaps were merely a welcome gift for my rebirth. As for the hatred from my past life, I will repay it in full. Guishan seemed to be competing with He Wenqiu. The day after He Wenqiu sent me a bouquet of flowers. Guishan sent one too. I didn't accept it. He Wenqiu sent me flowers as an admirer. What's your reason? A touch of desolation colored Guishan's eyes as he said softly, "It's my fault, punish me however you want, I don't mind." He placed the flowers outside the door and turned to leave. I kicked the flowers, sending them tumbling down the stairs. Guishan paused mid-step, bent down to pick up the flower, and then ran off. The capital in December was bitterly cold. And your breath turned to white mist almost instantly. Guishan came running over in long strides, pulled open his coat, and fished out a bag of flatbreads from inside. He hurriedly shoved the flatbreads into my hand, saying with a smile, "You said you wanted some, didn't you? I waited in line for ages. Here, eat it while it's still hot." I felt the warmth in my hands and realized it was from that famous old bakery I'd been craving. It was 5 kilometers from where I lived. To keep the pastries warm, Guishan had run the whole way. My mind suddenly drifted back to a time long, long ago. I made a meal for Guishan and brought it to the newspaper office. The weather was bitterly cold, and the snow-covered ground was slippery. I wanted him to have a hot meal, so I ran the whole way there. I took a nasty fall, but I didn't even think of myself. I scrambled up right away to check on the container. When I saw Guishan, he frowned and scolded me. "I already made plans to eat out with Aching today. Why did you bring me food?" In the end, the food, along with its container, was thrown into the trash. Plop, under Guishan's astonished gaze, I tossed the pancake away. It traced a perfect arc through the air before landing in the trash can. A cold smirk curled at the corner of my lips. "This sort of thing is beneath me now. Just like you are." Guishan's face instantly drained of all color. Snow settled on his head. As white as his pallid complexion, He Wenqiu walked over to me under an umbrella and asked softly, "Shall we go? I've already made a reservation at the restaurant." I walked arm in arm with He Wenqiu, passing Guishan by. After dinner, He Wenqiu saw me home. From a distance, I spotted Guishan standing downstairs at my place. It's so strange. Nothing I ever did could get through to him before. Does he really think doing this now will win me over? Guishan was covered in snow on his head and shoulders. Looking like a snowman, seeing me approach, he opened his eyes, a hopeful look in them. I frowned and spoke in a cold voice. "Is this some kind of game to you? Your presence is nothing but a disruption to my life. Even a tree needs its bark and a person needs their dignity." Guishan, surely you understand that. Guishan dropped to his knees with a heavy thud, right in front of me. The tears that fell from his eyes froze into ice on the snowy ground. Sure, I know I was wrong. Can you ever forgive me? I swear I'll never do it again. From now on, I'll do whatever you say. Don't you want to publish your book? We'll get it published as soon as we're back. I can help make you the most celebrated literary talent of our time. As he spoke, he crawled over and clung to my leg. I took a few steps back, watching him sink into the snow. "No need. I can get my work published on the strength of my own talent." With those words, I took He Wenqiu by the arm and hurried upstairs. Faintly, I heard the sound of sorrowful weeping from behind me. What does that have to do with me? My heart remained utterly still, feeling only that all of this had come too late. Guishan's remorse could not make up for his past betrayal and the hurt he caused. After that day, He Wenqiu became my boyfriend. When he asked about the grudge between me and Guishan, I only told him about my work being plagiarized. I didn't tell him I was reborn. I wanted to handle it myself. But I never expected that He Qing would actually seek me out. I worked a bit of overtime at the newspaper office, and by the time I left, the sky had grown dark. I was riding my bike home when someone suddenly lunged out from the roadside, startling me so much that I slammed on the brakes. Upon taking a closer look, I realized it was He Qing. She was dressed in thin, flimsy clothes, her hair was a tangled mess, and her face was smudged with dirt. If I hadn't known her for what felt like 2 lifetimes, I wouldn't have recognized her at all. He Qing's eyes gleamed with a frantic light as she lunged at me, her grimy hands clawing the air. She shrieked hysterically, "Give me the manuscript, give it to me now. I'm the true literary genius, I am, ahahaha." I watched her warily, ready to bolt at any moment. Suddenly, another person burst out from the grass by the roadside. Guishan was in a sorry state, and he froze for a moment upon seeing me. His eyes suddenly welled up, and he hastily wiped away the tears before speaking. "I'm sorry." He Qing ran off on her own. "She's not in her right mind." A while back, the Writers' Association revoked her honors. She couldn't take it and just lost her mind. I don't know how she managed to find me. But I had no choice. I have to look after her. It seems He Wen-Chu stepped in and helped me get justice. I let out a sharp breath, a plume of white mist obscuring Gu Yishan's face. I can no longer clearly recall the dazzling, illustrious figure he was in his past life. The man he is now can never be cleansed. Gu Yishan looked at me deeply, offering a bitter smile. His voice choked with emotion. Sure, I know I was wrong. I really do. I don't love her. It's only you I love. I've loved only you for 2 lifetimes. I just had no choice. I had to take care of He Qing. Her father died saving my dad's life. I never should have given her your work. His shoulders slumped abruptly, all his former pride draining away. Yet, I found it nothing but bitterly ironic. Gu Yishan is the one who owes He Qing, so why should I, Lin Shi, be the one to repay the debt? I gripped the handlebars tightly, wanting nothing more than to just leave. Suddenly, He Qing threw herself before me, dropping to her knees and knocking her head violently against the floor. A deep gash opened on her forehead, and blood streamed onto the ground. She kept muttering under her breath, "I'm sorry, it's my fault. I shouldn't have stolen your manuscript. I shouldn't have come between you and Brother Ashen. I shouldn't have let my jealousy cause you to lose the baby. It's all my fault. It's all my fault." I could barely stand. So, in my past life, it was she who killed my child. Gu Yishan threw himself to his knees before He Qing, grabbing her hair as he asked hysterically, "That child was actually your child's, He Qing? After all I've done for you, how could you have killed my child?" Gu Yishan suddenly turned around, speaking with a frantic, almost neurotic intensity. Sure, you have to believe me. I didn't know." I bit down hard on my lip, not letting a single sound escape. A wave of sorrow washed over me, drowning me completely. I rushed forward and slapped He Qing hard across the face, twice. He Qing curled up on the ground, moaning in agony. Gu Yishan looked at me, utterly at a loss, and stammered incoherently, Sure, I didn't know. I really didn't know. I would never, under any circumstances, harm my own child." I staggered back a few steps, utterly devastated. Right, Gu Yishan would never harm his own child, but he would harm me. Suddenly, He Qing lunged at me, but she was too weak now, and I sent her flying with a single kick before she could take more than a few steps. She tumbled twice on the road, coming to a stop by a utility pole, and suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. She lay there motionless, like a corpse. Gu Yishan hurried over. A cold, mocking smile curled on my lips as I spoke. "This is your just desserts." I pedaled away on my bike, the sound carried to me on the wind. "Lin Shi, I'm sorry. A simple sorry can't erase the harm they did to me in my past life." Life without Gu Yishan was remarkably happy. My works were published one after another, and my relationship with He Wen-Chu grew stronger and stronger. "We've decided to get married, right here in the capital." He Wen-Chu asked if I wanted to go back to my place. I shook my head. That place isn't my home. A place that brings me so much sorrow could never be. Everything was arranged without a hitch, just a few days before my wedding. I was so excited I couldn't sleep. Suddenly, I heard a faint noise outside the door. At first, I thought it was the wind, but the sound lingered and wouldn't go away. My heart leapt into my throat, and I hid under the covers to secretly call He Wen-Chu. Reassured by him, I quietly opened the door and saw a faint light emanating from my study. I crept over and was shocked to find it was Gu Yishan. He had broken in. He was holding a lit torch and rummaging through my study. Gu Yishan opened the drawer where I kept my manuscripts and pulled out the handwritten draft of the novel I had just finished. No, I absolutely cannot let him destroy it. Suppressing the panic in my heart, I demanded loudly, "Gu Yishan, what are you doing?" A flicker of panic crossed Gu Yishan's face, which then twisted into a sinister smile. Sure, you must break off your engagement to He Wen-Chu and come with me at once, or I'll burn all of this. If it weren't for your brilliant writing, you wouldn't have attracted He Wen-Chu, and you wouldn't have left me. It was so much better when I kept you locked up at home. You should be thanking me. With so many bad men in this world, I'm the only one who can protect you." Gu Yishan grew more and more excited as he spoke, a maniacal grin spreading across his face. It was a world of difference from his usual demeanor. I kept a close watch on his movements, terrified he might accidentally set my manuscript ablaze. "Are you all right?" He Wen-Chu hurried over and spoke softly. I shook my head, not daring to let my focus waver. Gu Yishan suddenly noticed He Wen-Chu and drew a small knife from his robe. The blade glinted with a silvery light, looking razor-sharp. Gu Yishan pointed the knife at He Wen-Chu, screaming hysterically, "It's all your fault, you homewrecker. If you hadn't seduced Shi, he never would have left me, and you dare think of marrying her, I'll kill you. Then you won't be marrying anyone." His voice grew hoarse with rage, each word seeming to be wrenched from the depths of his throat. Gu Yishan's face was contorted with rage, clutching the sharp knife. He charged forward without a moment's hesitation. He Winchu sidestepped the attack and began to slowly back away. I was terrified, fearing that Guishan would hurt He Winchu. I looked at Guishan and spoke with icy detachment. Even without He Winchu, I would never like you. And I would never go with you, Guishan. I took a deep breath and continued. I've been reborn. I remember everything from my past life. You are the source of my suffering, and I will never forgive you. To this day, I have nightmares every night, dreaming of you forcing me to write. The moment I showed the slightest reluctance, you would seize the chance to beat and kick me. My palms were drenched in sweat. I was incredibly nervous. He turned around slowly, his expression a complex, unreadable mix. Smiling through tears in a way that was truly painful to see. No wonder you said that in the auditorium that day, so you had already been reborn. I thought I could get the jump on you and have you in my life again. A flicker of despair flashed in his eyes. I never imagined you would leave me. I truly regret it. I shouldn't have helped Teaching steal your work. Sure, I love you. I shouldn't have done this. His voice grew softer and softer, as if he were talking to himself. I walked up to him step by step, raised my hand, and slapped him hard across the face. Guishan, if I could, I truly wish I had never met you. The blow turned his head to the side, and a complex mix of regret and resentment washed over his face. Tears welled up in my eyes, finally falling one by one. I suppose he must truly regret it now. Suddenly, Guishan raised the knife and plunged it fiercely into his own chest. Blood sprayed out, splattering across my face. I stared blankly as Guishan fell, his blood spreading across the floor. The torch fell to the ground, and sparks instantly spread across the floor. He Winchu snatched up the manuscript and pulled me, running for the exit. I watched as the fierce flames slowly consumed Guishan. Guishan looked at me, his eyes filled with profound regret. Then, he slowly closed his eyes. A look of relief washed over his face, as if a great weight had been lifted. The fire hadn't spread too far. After the ambulance crew extinguished it, we saw Guishan's body. The blaze had left him unrecognizable. I calmly contacted his parents to have his remains taken away. Guishan's death certainly had a significant impact on me, yet I felt no sorrow. Instead, there was a sense of relief. The wedding day brought a rare spell of sunshine to the capital, the air filled with a gentle warmth. Doors and windows were adorned with bright red double happiness characters. Brimming with joy, while several red flags hung on the walls, adding a touch of solemnity, I brought my parents and friends to the capital. He Winchu also invited his own friends and family. We didn't make it a grand affair, we simply invited the company president to officiate our wedding. That solemn and dignified voice echoed through the hall, each word seeming to carry the weight of the era and people's heartfelt wishes for the newlyweds. He Winchu wore a brand new Sun Yat-sen suit, his rugged face flushed with a touch of happiness. I, on the other hand, wore a bright red padded jacket, my hair pinned up at the back and adorned with a large red flower. My face was lightly made up, but ultimately, there were no extravagant wedding rings, no elaborate ceremony, only the sincere look in each other's eyes and our tightly clasped hands. We bowed solemnly before the portrait of the chairman. After the ceremony, everyone gathered around a long table set with simple refreshments. Steam rose from the teacups, and the aroma of melon seeds and sweets filled the air. Children laughed and weaved through the crowd, while the adults discussed the nation's new policies, their hearts full of hope for the future. Marriage did not hinder my writing. Instead, incorporating this change into my work allowed my words to convey a greater sense of hope. My work has gradually spread to every corner of the homeland, and I believe it will bring new perspectives to the women there. Even many years later, I still receive letters from my readers. In this moment, I feel that all my perseverance has truly been worthwhile.